Hello and welcome. I'm Wick and I will be reviewing and looking through the newest cards from the upcoming expansion for Legends of Runeterra, and that expansion is going to be called Fate's Voyage Onward, and it will be coming to us on September 13th, 2023. So obviously, first thing is off the bat, I mean, it looks like Neela. I haven't played League of Legends that much lately, never played this champion, but I know she's like a water whip wielding demon spirit associate. Like the thing on her hip is a little demon that makes her always smile or something. But it looks like this expansion is going to be obviously she's coming out, so that's pretty exciting. But let's get into these new cards. So here is the first set of cards. All right, we have Deluge, which is a 5-mana slow speed spell for Bilgewater. It looks like these are all Bilgewater cards, so I'm not sure if she's going to be Bilgewater or something else. But we have Deluge, which is a slow speed spell that says for the rest of the game, all of your elemental spells and swirly symbol skills deal extra damage. Okay, so we have right off the bat, we have two new things coming up. We have that little swirly thing, I don't know, but that, and then we have elemental skills. So I think let's go ahead and check out what elemental skills are. So it looks like we have a new card type, elementals. Many spells and play effects will receive the elemental type, increasing interactivity with cards being added in the Fate's Voyage expansion. All right, so it looks like, you know, it's just like subtypes. They're giving spells. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think the way that they have utilized the class and tribal, or, you know, card type mechanic in Legends of Runeterra has always been really interesting. You know, they recently added all the animals for Nico, and it looks like they're adding elementals for Neela. And so that makes me feel like she might be a Runeterran champion rather than a Bilgewater champion. But we'll see. And I think that we have a list of all the cards that are now going to be getting, you know, different types of elements assigned to them. So obviously all the ice spells, all the water stuff. I think it's really cool that they're doing this. I've always been saying, well, not always, but I've said that they should add, you know, more of these tags to some of the spells. Like make Vile Feast Spider, you know what I'm saying? And then Nico can play Vile Feast. But I don't know, maybe that's a little too crazy. But it looks like a bunch of these existing spells will be assigned new element tags in the upcoming patch, which is really exciting, and the elementary skills. So I guess, like, let's go ahead and look back now on Deluge. So it's a slow speed spell that just buffs all of your elemental skills and spells to do 1 extra damage. 5 mana, slow, so it can be, the earliest that it's going to be played is on turn 3. The turn 3 do nothing, which is a very pivotal turn. I think it's really scary to do nothing on 3 like that. Your elemental spells and skills. I mean, hold on, let's check. Is Decimate? It doesn't look like Decimate's fire type. So it looks like there's actually no burn spells on this list. Lightning Rush. Okay, there's Lightning Rush. I don't really see Bellows Breath, maybe, yeah. I mean, okay, so when I look at Deluge now, and I think about, like, what are going to be doing more damage, I mean, obviously, like, Deluge buffs Annie, right? Because of Molten Shield or whatever, and Talia's Threaded Volley, I guess. I don't know, man. Like, what the heck is Crystalline Storm Raptor? I don't even know what that card is, dude. That's crazy. I don't know, man. It's a 5-mana do nothing. I don't really think that it's that great. I don't know. Maybe some of the other cards will make this a little bit better, but who knows? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna talk about Wizened Helmsman, which is a 7-mana 5/5 for Bilgewater, and it has an effect that says play. Manifest 2 different elemental spells you played this game. They cost 0 this round. Oh, that's really crazy. It is 7 mana, but I mean, it's a 7 mana. They cost 0. I mean, I feel like we're going to be jumping back and forth between these this screen, just to kind of see what exists and what we could be getting to zero. I mean, look, like it straight up says 2 elemental spells, right? Like you get a free harsh winds, but it's only 0 mana this turn. Molten breath is kind of crazy. I mean, there are some that are like really cool that would cost 0. You know what I'm saying? Like I really wish Decimate was fire type. Is that just me? 0 mana Decimate? I don't know. I know. I'm just. I have to get my burn player moment in every. It's contractual at this point. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like I'm looking at the spells that you can get back from this, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. I'm not really like super hyped about it. It's a turn 7 play, which is pretty slow. I don't really think that Wizened Helmsman will be like that prevalent. 7 mana 5/5 that gives you. I mean, the fact that you get to pick what spells you get back, you know what I'm saying? They do cost 0. It's not like it is only this turn. I don't know. I feel like this card's either really bad or could it be busted? I don't know how it could be busted. I'm trying to think about like what is busted in with these cards. Maybe you get frozen in fear. Okay, look, you play ramp, right? You're playing ramp with Winter's Touch, so you get another 0 mana Winter's Touch, and because you're ramping, you get to turn 7 on like turn 5, right? Maybe that's not bad. Maybe that's not bad. You just like ramp, turn 7, drop this dude. I don't know. Give him Overwhelm. I'll just be honest. Just give him Overwhelm. Now we have Vic Crash, the Exuberant, which is a 3 mana elusive attune unit. When I'm summoned, create a Slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck. So it's a 3 mana 2/1. I mean, look, a 3 mana 2/2 attune elusive is not bad. Like, there's not a lot of 3 mana elusives in Build. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, just the body alone, I'm kind of into it, right? And it generates this Slipstream card in the deck, and Slipstream is a 1 mana burst spell that says draw 2 and grant them fleeting. Whoa, that's kind of nice. That is kind of. Oh, elemental skills are just. I'm stupid. I was trying to say, but yeah. Slipstream, kind of nice. Draw 2, grant them fleeting. I think that. I don't know. I think the crash is super cool. That's like a really powerful effect to, add a 1 mana draw 2 spell, which is really cool. The body is not terrible. It has a tune, so it's like 2 mana. It's a 2 mana 2/2 elusive. I think you're down for that almost all the time. Like 2 health on elusive is like pretty big. I mean, if this card sees a lot of play, I could definitely see them taking it down to a 2/1, and that probably kills the card. But I think with the effect of drawing 2, I think it's really sick. I think that's going to be really powerful in like verbal decks, those sort of like spell slinger combo type stuff. I think that's where that's going to really find a lot of strength. It does. Yeah, I don't know. I think it fits into that archetype pretty well. I think this is a very solid card for Bilgewater. I think it's a very powerful. I think this is good. This is a good card. This is going to be pretty well done. Then we have Formless Blade, which is a 1 mana burst spell for Bilgewater. It looks like it's the whips from the new upcoming champion. So Formless Blade is a deal 2 to a unit. It can't drop below 1 health from the stand. So, it's kind of like Prize Fight, where you're just leaving things at 1 HP, and then you're setting it up for further pings like Make It Rains or parlays, things like that, or setting them up for overall. It is burst 2 damage. I don't think that we've ever seen a burst damage spell in PvP. I mean, obviously it's in Path of Champions, but to see. Wow, that's really interesting as a concept for them to add. I think 1 mana burst, deal 2 cap. Yeah, I don't know, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. I think that is a speed of interaction and a style of interaction that they have never experimented with before. I think limiting the card to leaving units at 1 HP is a very interesting mechanic that they've introduced for the region, and I think that it allows them to kind of print these crazier effects, because I think that dealing 2 damage to a unit at burst speed by itself, I think burst speed anything is just really crazy. So I do think that this card, I'm not sure how much play it will see though, because it does seem like it's a kind of clunky card. It's an expensive slot in the deck for this card, because not only do you need to play the copies of this card, you also need to play cards that synergize with it. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of pings, but no, I think this card's pretty good. I think this card's really good, actually. I think a burst damage spell is just something that we've never seen before, and because of that, it's hard for me to evaluate. Obviously, burst damage is really strong. Prize fight has been really strong historically as well, so the can't drop below 1 damage cap for these style of spells doesn't really seem to be that big of an issue. And actually, you know, obviously the way that you use prize fight is kind of abuse strikes, but deal 2 damage to a unit at burst speed, that's crazy. That's really interesting. I think they're cooking. They are definitely cooking. But all right, now we have Wildfire, which is a 1 mana slow spell in Noxus. Okay, deal 1 damage to their next. Yes! Burn! Deal 1 damage to the enemy nexus, increased by 1 for each of their wildfire you played. Create a wildfire deck. Whoa! Are you guys reading this? I know I was in the way, but deal 1 to the enemy nexus, and then that damage is increased by 1 for each other wild. You just play wildfire printer. We just play wild. This is like go hard, but for me. You know what I'm saying? Look at this card. Oh my gosh. Burn is saved. Like, okay, all right, let me say one bad thing about this card. It's in Noxus. One of the biggest criticisms that I've had is that I don't love that Noxus is the only burn region. Like, I would love to be able to experiment with more, you know, region combinations instead of just always Noxus and something else, you know what I mean? I would love to get like a 4th burn region in the mix, but, or, you know, just like, could you imagine this in like Shurima? Woo! Like, I know that's like crazy to say, but Wildfire, 1 manage, deal 1 plus X. Whoa, that's so sick. That's so sick, dude. That's so sick. I don't know, I'm just playing Wildfire Printer day 1. Like, I'm really just gonna be slamming that. Dang, that's crazy. Okay, so that's it for today. So it looks like we had 5 cards. We had Deluge, which, I mean, okay, Deluge with Wildfire is pretty sick, right? We use Zap to draw the Wildfire. Zap is in Eternal, but Deluge is a little slow for me. I'm not really sure how good it will be, but maybe we'll see some play. I think this new elemental spell skill thing is very cool. Very excited for it. Wizened Helmsman seems okay. I like him in the ramp concept that I thought about. I don't really see much other use for him, but I do think that like ramp in Bilgewater, I guess, which sounds really funny. But you know, getting these 2 spells back for free, you know, like I said, you only have to ramp twice. You get this on 5, and that's not too bad. And then you get more ramp from this card, right? And then we have Vikrash the Exuberant, which I think was a pretty great card. It creates a slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck, which is a draw 2, grant them fleeting. I think this is a really solid elusive card. I think it's going to really fit into so many archetypes, and it's going to see a lot of play. You know, Bilgewater does see a lot of elusive play, so this card, I really do think it's going to be a staple for the region now. All right, and then we have Formless Blade, which is the burst deal 2. Like I said, dealing 2 damage or dealing any amount of damage at burst speed is really interesting, and it's a dimension of play and a speed at which damage has never been dealt before, so it's really interesting to see that. And then we have Wildfire, the best card in the. This is all that matters. This is. Thank you, devs. All right, guys. So that's gonna be it for my review today. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, you can follow me on every single social media platform: YouTube, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Substack. All of it, I'm Wickhelm. Every single place, I'm Wickhelm. All of my links will be in the description. Timestamps will be in the description. Also, shout out to Always Be Gaming. You know what it is. Join the ABG Discord. Come hang out with us. We be playing games all the time. Always. You know what I'm saying. But thanks for tuning in. Check me out later. I guess I'll be back reviewing more cards as they come out. So stay tuned and thank you. Peace. Hello and welcome, I'm Wick, and today I will be reviewing the newest champion to come to Legend of Runeterra, Neela, the Joy Unbound. She will be joining us with the Fate's Voyage Onward expansion, which is going to be releasing on September 13th. So let's go ahead, dive into this video, and then check out the cards that she has afterwards.
Joy, unbound and everlasting.
She said her name. Slipstream. Okay, we've seen Slipstream, and there's Neela. 2 mana, 2/3 Brash. Okay.
Does it concern you?
Ooh. Okay. I didn't get to read the text yet. We'll see. New elusive card, of course, is broken.
My challenge.
She does something with the deck. Oh man. She is it like a draw cards next turn? Okay, Decant. That's a new card. So she drew 2 fleeting cards. All right, so we got Updraft, which is a new keyword. All right, Updraft. Oh my gosh, the whole hand just shuffled. Got the boat. Wait, what?
Your strength is lacking.
What just happened? Okay, so they're deep. Awesome. Hell yeah, dude. I didn't know what deep was. Okay, we got Master Lookout. Okay, here's the level up animation.
Take me to them.
Pretty good animation. Pretty good animation. I wonder if they're gonna have any skins for her. That'd be pretty crazy.
Swift, strong.
Oh, she has a boat! She unironically has a boat for herself. And her spell is the whips. That's actually pretty good. I mean, that's a really strong champion spell. For real. That's actually kind of crazy. The burst speed damage is gonna be crazy. Whoa, what is happening? I haven't read any of the cards yet, so. Huh? What just happened? Whoa. Okay, and here's all of the cards. So I guess we can just pause here and then go through all these. So I guess I'll start with Neela. Neela is a 2 mana, 2/3 unit in Bilgewater. She has Brash, and she says attack. Create a slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck. Oh wow. So we saw that other elusive. Oh, well, he's down here. Vikrash. We saw Vikrash create a slipstream. So it's really interesting to see that he's not the only way to generate those. It looks like, you know, drawing is going to be a key part to this archetype, which is always scary because Ryan's pretty strong, but it's putting into the top six is all right. But I heard Sunny talking about it yesterday. How, you know, after 6 turns, you're gonna have the mana to play Slipstream and play all the cards that are fleeting, so it's probably pretty strong. So her level up is that she's drawn 16 cards, and I don't think that is a I've seen. I do believe that this is an in-deck quest, so similar to Twisted Fate, but she doesn't need to be on the field. She's a 2 mana 2/3. You know, I was falling asleep last night, and I said I just had this feeling she was gonna be a 2 mana 2/3, but I thought she was gonna have quick attack. I do think that Brash is actually a lot stronger, especially with the Formless Blades. You know, making it so that those units can't block. So after she's drawn 16 cards, she's gonna level up and she's gonna become a 3/4. Her attack will still have the create a Slipstream in the top 6 cards, and then it also will, when she attacks, so that is the attack commit. This isn't a skill. This is when you commit her attacking, she creates a Slipstream, and then she deals 2 damage to all the enemies and the enemy nexus. Whoa, so she Formless Blades everyone. That's really crazy. That's really strong, you know, because that just means that no one's going to be able to block her as a Brash unit. Dealing 2 damage every commit to every unit and the enemy nexus, so she is burn, which is great. Wow, this seems like a really powerful card. And then we also see that the Formless Blades, as we saw in the video, will be her champion spell. Wow, drawn 16 cards though. That is quite expensive, right? That's not an easy level up condition at all. So 16 cards, you have Slipstreams. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. I feel like she's not going to be too difficult to level up, or I don't know. We'll have to see. 16 cards, like we thought Zoe was really bad. You know what I mean? Having to see 8 cards or 10, whatever. But this is a draw 16. There's a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hop over to this other burst spell. This is Joy Unending, which is a 3 mana burst spell that says it's an elemental spell as well, but it's gonna give allies +1/+0 this round and heal damage allies too. Oh my gosh, Star Spring buff. That is 3 mana, heal everything 2 +1 attack. 3 mana. Whoa. This card has to be good. I just don't understand. Like I do see and I do understand why it's in Bilgewater. It's not as though they don't have healing effects. You know, they have the Citrus Courier, which heals all allies. Giving all allies +1/+0 at burst speed. Like this, I mean, I'll be honest, like I am only thinking about this in Scouts, and I don't even know if this can be played in Scouts because it's 3 mana, but it is pretty powerful. I think this card's interesting. It's a really funny combat trick. I could see if this card turns out to be strong, right? Let's say that it's strong, like something like Pirate aggro, right? Because, you know, you just go wide and then you give all of your allies +1 attack. I could see them making this focus. But I think that it's important for it to be burst at the moment because of the healing, at least. Like that part of the combat trick should always be burst. It's hard to have that as focus speed. But the +1 attack, if that turns out to be problematic as an aggressive card, I could see them tweaking the speed. I don't know, interesting card. A little simple, but also very weird for the region. We don't really have like wide buffs for Bilgewater, and I think this is one of the first ones, so it's kind of interesting. All right, so then we have Slipstream, which can be created by Neela and Vikrash. But I'm gonna go hop down to Master Lookout, which is a 1 mana 2/1, which is already premium stat line. Bilgewater loves having 2 mana 2/1, so it's a 2 mana 2/1 Bilgewater unit that says once you have drawn 3 or more cards in a round this game, grant me +1/+1 and Brash. Whoa! Whoa! So as soon as you get one Slipstream in, this card is a 1 mana 3/2 Brash. I think that's very powerful. This is a very powerful 1-drop. I think that this is going to be another staple in the region. It's going to be a staple in aggro. Wow, that's a really powerful card. 1 mana 3/2 Brash is like really scary. And I don't think that the prerequisite is that difficult to achieve either. Even in Pirate Warrior, you know? Pirate Warrior. Even in Pirate aggro, you know, you'll see I have Nagakaboros in there, so maybe that's like the only way to achieve that, or maybe, you know, second TF in Eternal. But I do think that Master Lookout is going to turn out to be a pretty powerful card. Like I can see a lot of that being played. It looks very strong. All right, and then we have Dedicant of the Challenge, which is a 4 mana 2/1, which says when I'm summoned, updraft your hand to grant me +1/+1 for each card updrafted, and then draw 2. So it looks like we have a new keyword here. This unit is going to do something to your hand and then draw you 2 and then get buffed. So let's go ahead. Updraft. So updraft is a new vocabulary that we have in Legends of Runeterra that says shuffle a card into your deck and reduce its cost by 1. Oh, shuffle a card into your deck and then reduce its card by 1. So I guess because you're going to be drawing a lot, you need to empty your hand, you need to shuffle it back, and you're going to be able to reduce that by 1. I think this is a pretty powerful ability, you know? It reminds me of some custom cards that I've seen from Bad Rad on Twitter, where you would stuff cards back into your deck in order to gain effect. So I mean, this is similar to that. It feels like I do like the ability to take advantage of all the draw that you have and not have to always play all the cards and then, you know, invest it into later. I think coming down on turn 4, the Dedicant isn't too bad. It doesn't have any keywords, so it might be a vanilla like unit, as we saw in the preview video where it got pretty big, but you know, there's no keyword, so it can just be chump blocked as much. But I do think that discounting your hand is pretty good, and I think even though you're drawing 2, you are going to be playing all these other draw spells so that your hand's going to be replenished quickly anyways. So let's go back to this image, and then we have the next card, which is another boat. We have the Tide Dancer, which is a 6 mana 3/5 epic card in Bilgewater that reads, when I'm summoned, draw Neela. Each round when you play your 3rd card, give other allies +2 and Brash this round. When I would gain fleeting, reveal me instead. Whoa, okay, this card's really funny. Like, Neela is obviously a 2 cost unit, but the level up requirement of 16 cards having to be drawn might make her flip later in the game, where drawing her on 6 or after 6 may not be an issue, right? Especially with the powerful combination of the boat and Neela. Like, maybe I'm getting caught up in like the boat synergy too much. It's not too often that we see these boats getting played, except for like Swain is like the most, I think Swain has the most played boat out of all of the boats. So to see this new one that might actually be very powerful and a very great finisher for Neela decks, I mean, when you play your 3rd card, give allies +2 and Brash, and then Neela just does 2 damage at burst speed to everything, and they can't block suddenly. I think that this boat looks really great. I think that it's pretty well costed. It's a little bit maybe weak on the power side, with the HP at 5 being pretty decent. I'm not terribly upset with that. But I feel like if this was like a 4-5 or inherently had brash, if this card had brash itself because it gives other units brash, I think that would be better, but it might be too strong. I do like the fact that it can't be fleeting, that it just gets revealed instead. Um, I think that that is really interesting. And you know what? If you can get it discounted with a Dedicant, having a five mana Tide Dancer, I think is pretty decent. I don't think that's bad at all. I think the Tide Dancer sounds great when I think about it, and I don't know. Neela is looking really interesting. You know, she's obviously a burn champion on some levels, but also board control, draw heavy, very much a cycling. You know, what do I need? What don't I need? Shuffling your cards. I'm excited to see what other updraft um, effects they print. Obviously, this is only the first one, so we should hopefully see more. But yeah, that's Neela. That's her package. I do think that it is pretty exciting. I think that this one drop is crazy. But yesterday on some community streams, a couple other cards were revealed. You may have seen it earlier when I was shuffling through my tabs, but a couple other cards were revealed. So I wanted to go ahead and pull that up and we can review them. It's just 2 cards here. And so it looks like we have Janna first of all, but we have Divine Whirlwind, which is a 5 mana fast spell for Piltover and Zon that says if you've drawn 3 cards this round, I cost 2 less. Okay, very obvious synergy with Neela already. Deal 3 damage to a unit and 2 to the enemy nexus. Fast speed, 2 damage to the enemy nexus. Come on, guys. This card's really good. It reminds me of Blowback, obviously. It is 1 mana more expensive, but has the potential to be 1 mana cheaper, and it obviously does up to, you know, less damage than Blowback does. But wow, having unit and Nexus damage in a single spell is very powerful. You know, we've seen Blowback be a very powerful spell. We've seen the 2 mana slow spell from Vandal City, Electro Harpoon. Yes, we've seen Electro Harpoons be very powerful. This spell looks crazy to me. A fast, like, I'm looking at this, and even at 5, like, you don't mind playing this at the end of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's a very powerful finisher. And I think that if you're able to achieve the prerequisite and get the card down to 2, you know, get it down to 3 mana, fast speed, deal 3, deal 2, that's kind of powerful. I don't know, like, that seems like a very good spell. I feel like if this is what Janna and Neela are looking like, we're gonna have a pretty spicy meta. I really do feel that. Yeah, Divine Whirlwind seems like a great card. I don't know, this, if you've drawn 3+ cards, so all you need to do is draw an additional 2, right, in 1 round. I don't know. I think this is very good. I think this is a very powerful card. I think that we'll see this a lot in Piltover and Zon. I think that I'm going to try to play it with any burn decks that I might try to play for the region. But it seems really good, and if it kind of indicates that Janna might be a burn style champion. So we'll see how that pans out. So that's the first card that was revealed. The other card is also going to be another Janna spell, it looks like. And that's going to be Gale Song Flock, which is a 5 mana slow speed spell in Piltover and Zon that says summon a Gale Song Swallow, which we don't really know what that is, but it's a unit, and grant it +1/+1 for each other elemental spell and elemental skill that you've played this game. Draw 1. Alright, well, interesting. We only obviously know 1/2 of this card with, you know, the spell side. We don't really know what the unit looks like and if it has any keywords, but it's a bird, at least I'm assuming, and it's going to get +1/+1 for every, you know, kind of just grows as you get later and later into the game. Um, Not super exciting of a card. We'll see what the Gale Song Swallow as a base unit is. Like maybe that's more exciting, but creating a unit and just giving it +1/+1 for every time you've achieved something isn't really that interesting to me. It does draw one, but it's a 5 mana spell, kind of slow. This one doesn't excite me that much. I'm not a really big fan of units, you know what I mean? The Divine Whirlwind is way more interesting to me. Obviously, Burn, but yeah, these new Janus spells are really interesting. I would say that obviously there's a lot of synergy with Neela, and it looks like it's going to be a spell skill based deck that does damage to the enemy units and then does a little bit of burn and closes out the game with Brash, you know? So, yeah, so just really quickly to go over all the cards that we covered today. So we went over Neela, the newest champion in the game. I think that she's gonna be pretty powerful. I think that she's gonna flip faster than people might expect. I'm not sure how other people are reacting to it at the moment, but I do think that the level up is gonna be pretty achievable. I think that her spell, champion spell, Formless Blade, is very powerful. It's they couldn't have given her a better spell, especially with her level 2 effect. I think being able to deny blockers is always very strong. Evasion in this game is so interesting. So creating a Brash mechanic, creating an opening for Brash to kind of get through is really fun. And maybe we'll see Jack coming online again, and Prize Fight and King's Court and all that. Joy Unending, weird card. Weird card, not really what I expect to see from Bilgewater. +1 at all allies. Feels very Scouts, very Demacia. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. Heal damaged allies +2. Sorry, my chair's in the way. So those are the first cards, and then we had the Master Lookout, which is the 1 mana 2/1. 1 mana 2/1 is not even bad for the region, and then a 1 mana 3/2 Brash is crazy, So I think that Master Lookout's gonna be crazy card, like meta defining. Like aggro. It's gonna be an aggro staple. Dedicant is really interesting. I think that Updraft is gonna be a really fun mechanic to play around with, and I think it's gonna give this sort of draw heavy play style a lot of, I don't know, it's gonna be crazy. Drafting seems crazy. You shuffle your hand back or you shuffle cards back and then they cost 1 less. I don't know. Especially in an archetype that's running slipstreams. Come on, you're gonna be drawing like crazy. And then you have the Tide Dancer, which is Neela's boat. It's always fun to get a boat. Comes down on turn 6. I think that's gonna be a pretty appropriate time for Neela, and has the fun effect of being your finisher for the game, giving all other allies +2/+0 Brash, and it can be fleeting, which is fun. I think that's a really cool effect that we haven't really seen on a card. So that is it for the reveals from today. Thank you again for tuning in. As always, I will be back to review the next cards in the expansion, so keep an eye out for that. And follow me here on YouTube, and click that little announcement bell, but also follow me on other platforms. I'm Wickhelm on all of those. All the links will be below, so you can check those out. Would also like to shout out Always Be Gaming, the gaming community for everyone. Yeah, but join the ABG server, come hang out with us, play games, chat about the new cards. And we'll be hosting tournaments again in the future, so always great to have more people in the server. Please check that out. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you again for tuning in, and hello and welcome. I'm Wick, and today I am back to review the 3rd set of cards revealed for the upcoming Legends of Runeterra expansion, Fate's Voyage Onward. And that's going to be coming out on September 13th, of course. It's coming up soon, so let's go ahead and dive into those cards. All right, so the first card that we have here today, it looks like it is a Noxus card, and that's going to be Headmistress Telsi. All right. We got a 5-mana Noxus 5/5 epic card that says allied attack and support effects activate an additional time, which is really interesting. We don't see too much reference to support in Noxus, but we do see cards like the quick attack granter or giver. I guess there's also Kato, so being able to double Kato is really funny, I guess. Having the attack triggers double is actually very funny because, you know, you're playing this in something with, you know, Boom Crew rookies or Annie, and, you know, you get those attack trigger twice. I mean, that's actually really cool. It's 5 mana, so it's a little bit expensive for those sort of faster game plans to really get a lot of impact out of her. I don't know, she's a little expensive, right? She's a little expensive. Attack and support effects activate an additional time. I don't know. I saw, okay, so I saw somebody tweet about this before I reviewed, and they posted it with the Marauder, who, you know, when they attack they gain +1/+1, right? And so although that would be really cool, I think by by turn 5 you kind of want those Marauders to be having triggered a little bit already. So maybe this, I don't know, this feels like a very, this effect feels like something I want early to have scale with my game plan. But you know, on turn 5, like, unless this card is ending the game, I don't, maybe not ending the game, but like, this needs to turn the corner for you, right? Like, this card uncontested is really scary. It does have 5 health, which is pretty healthy. I don't know, I don't think this card's gonna be super good. I think it's fun, and I think that's what makes it bad. Like, this card seems really fun to play with, and I think that it will, like, what if this had Overwhelm? I don't know. I said that yesterday about some cards, and it's just like, just give it Overwhelm. Oh, you want something to be a little bit funner? Just give it Overwhelm. And yeah, that's true, but I'm not sure. 5 mana 5/5. Attack and support effects activate an additional time. Kato is really funny with that. I guess, like, all you need is for this to go off once and you're feeling pretty good. I mean, she could even probably attack, honestly. Nah, you probably don't want her to get damaged. Like, this is such a valuable engine. Turn 5. Turn 5, end the game in like 2 turns, right? That's what this kind of says. I don't know. I need to go through all the attack and support effects. I really wasn't expecting. Like, okay. I guess fundamentally this is a really interesting card, right? Like, I'm really down for another big engine, I guess, in Noxus. That it's an engine that stays on the bench while the rest of your cards have to attack, which is okay. It's reliant on a big board or other units, you know? So it's like, it's if you don't have other units and you're not kind of ahead, yeah, okay, there we go. This card feels like a win more card, right? Because it fundamentally relies on you having an existing established board. And most of the times, if you have a board where you'll be taking advantage of this effect multiple times on multiple units, you probably were in a commanding enough position where you didn't need to play a 5 mana 5/5, right? That just doubles those things up. You could have just played probably open attacked at that point, or done a lot of other things. Like, this card feels like it is only helpful if you're already in a very dominating position. And I think that fundamentally makes this not super good. Because it's not good, like, maybe if this card had a support effect itself, you know what I mean? That would be interesting. It needs to have something on it. Like, by itself, it's nothing. So I think it's too reliant on having a board to be a good card. So I'm gonna say this is probably not very good. I think this is a typical epic card, which is like not. It's a great, interesting, and fun effect, but it's not good enough in the game to be action. So I don't think that we'll be seeing much of the Headmistress, unfortunately, but definitely a fun card. I know there's a lot of people who are excited for it, so yeah, I'm happy for it. Next, we have Lonely Chime Slime, which is a 2-mana 2/3 in SI. That says when another ally dies or last breath, plant 4 chimes in your deck. Oh, interesting. So Shadow Isles gets some chime support, I guess, and Bard gets a new card. So I mean, this is pretty scary, right? Like, it's a 2-mana 2/3. It feels like a scarab on some levels, where you just kind of have this on the back row while your allies go ahead and die. And it also has the last breath of effect for itself as well. And I think that putting chimes into your deck, in a deck where you are utilizing this card well, right? I don't know. That seems really great. Like, this effect and this, like the way that this engine works, where it has to see other allies die, that fundamentally makes it a perfect chime deck, right? Because you know you're going to be playing a lot of units. You're going to be playing a lot of things that you want to die. I could see this slotting pretty happily into any Nasus deck. I think this is a really powerful card, actually. I think this is a really good card. I don't really think it matters in Bard decks, but I don't know if Bard decks matter, you know? I think this matters in SI decks, and I think it's really scary just as like a standalone Shadow Isles card. It is kind of antithetical, or, you know, opposite, I guess, to what Shadow Isles typically wants from cards, right? And what the region is supposed to do, right? Shadow Isles isn't the buffing region, right? And so to get these +1/+1 chimes into your deck and onto your units, it kind of doesn't really feel in line with what the region typically does, right? And I guess, like, when you think about it, it counteracts itself because it wants to see units die. But if you're buffing those units with chimes, they're gonna die less, right? So maybe I don't know. It's a really funky card. I think fundamentally, buffs and, you know, obviously health and stats are powerful, and we've seen how powerful and obnoxious chimes can be. But I do think that this card, as I mentioned, kind of counteracts itself. But I also think it's such a powerful effect, and it's such a good solid body. It's a 2-mana 2/3, which is solid enough, right? 3 health is pretty good. Like, this can block Neela. There we go. Let's go. Yeah, I think this card will see a lot of play. I do think this card will see a lot of play. Maybe this card sees play in Bard. I don't really see it bringing back that archetype in any true capacity, but I do think that this is a very powerful card for time in general. All right, and so next we have Watery Grave. So Watery Grave is a 3-mana slow spell in Shadow Isles, another epic card that says obliterate 6 cards on the bottom of the enemy deck. Obliterate 6 cards from the bottom of the enemy deck. That seems obnoxious. 3 mana, obliterate 6 cards from the bottom enemy deck. Like, in most cases, this doesn't really matter, right, when it comes to cards being in the bottom of your deck. But also, like, if you have cards like Hexite Crystal, or maybe you have a champion in the bottom of your deck and you have ways to draw those, like, losing access to that feels really bad. This card's, first of all, like, look, Watery Grave, right? It's a deep reference, right? you have the boat, sea monster, and all it does is obliterate 6 cards from the enemy bottom of the enemy deck. It doesn't even do anything for you. Like, it should be like obliterate 6, toss 6. You know what I mean? And then it's a deep card and it helps you turbo deep, right? Like, I don't understand this card. This just seems so boring. This just seems so frustrating and annoying to play against, while also not really being powerful or impactful in any like real way. Like, I really don't like this card. I think that this card is just, I don't know. It's not even, it doesn't make any sense in any capacity. And I don't know. This is probably one of like the most boring cards that we've seen from all these reveals. This is probably like the, I'm just gonna move on before I keep going and being negative. So next we have General of the Dunes, which is a 4-mana elite in Shurima. So it's a 4-mana 4/4 in Shurima, right? And General of the Dunes says Daybreak in Shurima. Wow, they brought Elite to Shurima, they brought Daybreak to Shurima. This single card has done insane things for the game, just with these 2 keywords being referenced on it. It's crazy. Like, now you can see like Leona, Shurima, which sounds gross. Oh, that sounds really scary. Anyways, Daybreak, General of the Dunes, Daybreak, or when you activate another Daybreak, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. Wow. Whoa, this card is nuts. This card's really good. This card's crazy. Like, now I just want to play Leona and like Renekton. But also it's a 4-mana 4/4, so it kind of competes in the spot for Renekton. It's not a terrible stat line, but it's also, I don't know. It's really funny though. It's really funny. I think it's a really, granting things vulnerable is always very powerful, right? And the fact that this thing is not just a summon effect or play effect when you Daybreak it, but it also is an engine for you to just continuously Daybreak and continue to stack those vulnerables onto enemy units and kind of dictate combat. I think this is a fantastic card. I think it's insane that it's elite. I just can't even comprehend what that means. Like, now you can just play this card in elites, right? Granting things vulnerable, which is very powerful for Demacia, and you know, you're not worrying about allegiance anymore. So like, this is like an elite player out there. I know Marshall out there is just like, I'm gonna play Shurima now. Anyways, Daybreak, or when you grant another Daybreak, or when you activate another Daybreak, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. I think this card is amazing. Very solid card. Very cool what they've decided to do with elites and Daybreak. I think that's what I'm most excited about for sure. But yeah, General of the Dunes seems pretty solid. Very excited to see how people mess around with that. Maybe if this was a 3-mana 3/3, it would be a little spicier, right? It would curve into Renekton, and that's really crazy. But yeah, solid card. Very solid card. And so for this last one, I'm going to zoom out because just so you can see it. So we have Defenders of the Sun Disk, a 2-mana 2/2 elite from Shurima again. And another Daybreak. It says Daybreak, draw a Defenders of the Sun Disk. All right, it's a 2-mana 2/2 that draws itself. I mean, it's like Zenith Blade. That's cool. I mean, sure. It's a 2-mana 2/2 draw. Yeah, man. Sure, it's a deck thinner. I mean, Shurima loves deck thinning, right? It's fine. It's fine. It's another Daybreak card in Shurima that's an elite, and that is very, very exciting. I think these 2 cards open up so much for the Daybreak and the elite archetypes just by existing fundamentally. And I think their effects are solid enough to warrant complete new archetypes to be formed around just these 2 cards. And I think that the developers, mission accomplished. Like, fantastic work. I think, small little things like this does wonders for the complexity of and the depth of the game, and I'm very excited for the future of it. So, okay, let's go ahead and move to the next page. We have another set of cards. Who is this little guy? So we got Slip, King of the Wreath. That's so funny. Why'd they have to do that to him? Like, come on. Anyways, Skip, the King of the Wreath, is a 2-mana 1/2 elusive in Bandle City that says play. Pick one of 2 non-champion cards from the enemy hand. I capture it. Interesting. Hand capture. Hand capture. I assume that when Skip leaves the field, the capture releases that card back into the hand. I think that's crazy. Like, this is a type of denial that is only temporary, interactable because you kill the unit, but also like very powerful for proactive strategies. Like let's say that you have the attack token and your opponent has a lot of mana, you just open your turn with Skip, grab a card that would stop you from doing something like a vengeance or maybe a ruination, and now you have this 2-mana 1/2 elusive. I think this is a fantastic card. I think this card is very powerful. I think it's going to get a lot of hate. I think it is going to be the best hand disruption that we've had in the game that is interactable and fair compared to something like Aloof. I don't know. This is a great card. This is a fantastic card. Very interesting, very fun. Obviously, a 1/2 elusive is decent enough, and the effect is fantastic. You just need this guy to come down, snag something for even one attack, one round, one action. Like, it's just such an interesting card that demands so much response from your opponent. I think it's great. Also, this little guy has little teeth. It reminds me of bullywugs with nice little teeth. So, I don't know. Skip is hilarious. I hope this card has voice lines. I really hope this card has voice lines. Please. Yeah, Skip's great card. Great card. Very fun. Very cool. Love it. And so now, next we have Bursting Backpack, which is a 1-mana burst spell. It's called Bursting, right? So it had to be burst. It's a 1-mana burst spell from Bandle City. And it says, for each Bursting Backpack you've played this game, plant 4 chimes in your deck and 4 poison puff caps, in the enemy deck. Create a Bursting Backpack in your deck. So this card is a chime card and a puff cap card, and it is similar to Wildfire in that we see that it generates itself and stacks with itself. These sort of recursive, I don't know if it's recursive, but it's exponential, right? These cards are going to be pretty scary. I do think that this, I don't know. I also don't know. It's a 1-mana do nothing. I can't really see this being that good. I'll be honest. I think this is strictly worse than Wildfire. Because the damage and the effects that it have are delayed. Obviously the chimes, because it doesn't even say chimes in the top cards, it just says chimes in your deck, right? So those can be anywhere. Yeah, I don't see this card being very good. I think it's funny and silly and cute and adorable, and I do like that, but I don't think it's real. I don't think it's going to be that effective, and I don't think it's going to see that much play. But I think it's fine. I think it's a very cute and funny effect, and definitely it's going to get a lot of experimentation, and I think a lot of people are going to get excited about it, especially the puff cap part. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Gentleman's Duel. Gentleman's Duel is a 3-mana fast spell for Demacia that says give an ally +0/+2 this round. Then it and an enemy strike each other. Mono Fiora support. Look at that. Heal and a strike. Come on. Like, this is sick. This is like a very good spell, actually. I think that health is obviously the most important aspect of being able to strike things. And if you're striking something, the best way to win the game is to have your unit stay alive after that strike. So I think that this is it's 3 mana. I think that's very fair. I think this is a good card. I think this is a fantastic card. This is a very good card. This is strictly better than single combat. Is the +2 health this round worth 1 mana? I mean, that is a elixir of iron, right? I think it's fair. I think that 3 mana for a strike and a +2 is really good. I think that Monofiora loves this. I think that Demacia loves this. I think this is a good card. I think this is a good card. I think this will see some play as another good strike spell. I think Demacia has a lot of good strike spells right now, maybe. I think there's a lot of good strike spells in the game at the moment. So, but I think that this will make it up there. And I'm excited to see. I can't wait for Eternal now. Eternal's gonna come back and we'll play this card again, and I'll play some Monofiora and tear it up. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a solid card. Not too crazy, not too exciting, nothing fancy, but I think it's solid. A very good staple. And yeah, I think we'll see it get some plays. So next we have. Let me move over a little bit. Capsize. Capsize is a 4 mana slow spell in Ionia, and it's an elemental spell. Interesting. It says recall an enemy to increase the cost of the next unit your opponent plays by 2 this round. Or sorry. So 4 mana slow recall that also makes your opponent's next card cost 2 more. So you kind of want to play this while your opponent has mana up, obviously, because if they pass, it just this buff or this debuff goes away, right? But I do think that obviously it's a very powerful recall effect, and we see it being used on Leviathan, which is really funny, right? But I think that a recall that kind of stops your opponent from doing further development kind of does 2 things, right? It removes something from the field temporarily and also mitigates your opponent from further development. So a card doing 2 of those things at once, right? This is a 4 mana card. Not bad at all. Interesting, very interesting. I think this card will see play. I think this card will see a lot of play. I think this card's actually kind of crazy. Yeah, this card's kind of a lot of like very crazy. Like you open with this, right, on your attack token as your first action, and your opponent's turn is like practically bricked. You know what I'm saying? Like they've lost the tempo that they have developed, and they're gonna have a harder time to make, try to catch back up. Obviously, you're not doing anything with this 4 mana. You're just removing something from your opponent's board. But I think this is a very powerful spell. I think this is a very, very powerful spell. And I think that it's going to get... I think this will see a lot of play. I think this will see a lot of play. And I think this is the type of thing that like Ionia really needed. Was ways to just kind of slow down the opponent and interact with the board on a deeper level. I don't know. I think this card is really neat. I don't think I want it to play against it, right? But I also think that this sort of control, mitigation, and delay that's what Ionia does. You know what I'm saying? They've been pretty bad for a while now, so they deserve some love. They definitely do deserve some love, and I believe that is it for the cards today. Thank you again for joining me. Really quickly, we have Headmistress Telsey, 5 mana 5/5, allied attack and support effects activate an additional time. Kind of win more. Don't see it doing too much. Kind of, relies too much on being ahead, so I can't see it be too strong, but we'll see. Hopefully it is. Really fun card. Obviously a reputation buff. Haha. And then we have Lonely Chime Slime, which is a 2 mana 2/3 for SI, which when it dies, it plants 4 chimes in the deck when it dies and when other allies die. Very good card for chime decks, but as I said, kind of counteracts itself a little bit in making its the allies that it's supposed to see die be a little survivable. And then we had Watery Grave, which is just a terrible bad card. 3 mana obliterate 6 from the bottom of the enemy deck. I just really don't like it. I don't find it interesting. I don't think it's fun. I think it's like it doesn't do anything for you, and then it does nothing for the game. You know what I'm saying? Make this toss 6. Make it toss 6 or something. You know, I think that's fine. And then we have these 2 great elite cards. We have General of the Dunes, which is the Daybreak, or when you activate another Daybreak, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. Fantastic card. And then we have Defenders of the Sun Disk, which is a 2 mana 2/2. When a Daybreak, draw itself. So I don't know, kind of little fun ways for Daybreak and Elite to enter Shurima. I think that is very interesting, very cool. We do see a lot of these kind of mixed matching of archetypes. We have Chimes in Shadow Isles. We have support being referenced in Noxus again. We have Elite and Daybreak being added to Shurima, which is really fun. And then we have the funniest card of the set of this group of cards, I think, is Skip. You know, the 2 mana 1/2 elusive. Pick one of 2 non-champion cards from the enemy hand and capture. I just think that this type of engagement and this type of denial is sort of what the game kind of needs. It's a little bit more interactive in terms of disruption. So I do appreciate this card a lot. Bursting Backpack, 1 mana. Plant 4 chimes, plant 4 puff caps, create another bursting backpack, and it kind of grows. I don't know, this card, maybe I'm just too wildfire pilled, you know what I'm saying, but this one's not super exciting, and I don't think it'll be very good, unfortunately. All right, and then we got Gentleman's Duel, 3 mana fast strike for Demacia, which also gives your unit +2. I think this will be a very strong card, very good combat trick. I love it for Fiora, obviously. Very fun card. And then the last card is Capsize, the 4 mana Ionia Recall that also makes your opponent's plays cost 2 more. All right card. Obviously, not my style, but I do think it's a good card and solid for the region. But thank you again, everybody, for tuning in today. That was all for the card reviews. We'll probably see some more cards being reviewed through content creators, of course. But thank you again for watching the video. Please feel free to like, send me a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel. Always helps and it's always appreciated. You can also find me on other platforms. Obviously, I'm on Twitter. I'm also on Twitch, and I want to stream more often. But I'm on every single platform you can imagine. Literally Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, not Facebook. But every single platform, I'm Wickhelm. So please feel free to follow me on there. I try to post my updates and, post funny stuff on all of those. So any follows and support is super appreciated. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will be back next time to review the feature cards, and it should probably be a champion support package. So let's see what we get in the meanwhile. All right, guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace. Hello and welcome. I'm Wick, and today we are going to be reviewing a new batch of cards being released for the upcoming Legends of Runeterra expansion, Fate's Voyage Onward, which is going to be coming out to us on September 13th, 2023. So we've seen Neela, we've seen a couple of variety cards, and we've seen, a bunch of new mechanics being introduced to the game. I'm really excited to see what is next. Ooh, so it looks like it's Janna, and I do believe this is the video, so let's see what she does.
You called and I answered.
Ooh, 4 mana 2/4. Oh, updrafting.
Start just looking for a sign.
Why not black to end? I guess it's gonna be great. Wildfire, let's go.
Let this draft
Got that
guide your
updraft.
hand. Lift us up upon your mighty wings, old friend.
Okay,
Not
okay.
keen to move our world.
Leap of faith, huh? You'll catch me, right?
Got a bunch of updraft
Wait,
units
you?
now, it looks like.
Oh, I love that for you.
Perhaps the answer lies in others, not yourself.
The opponent's playing what I'm gonna play.
I will aid you, Neela. For you face
There's Neela.
monsters.
It is the monsters that face me.
A new landmark. Oh, there's that spell that was revealed on a previous creator stream. I believe it was Meg Ferrari's.
I sense such joy within you, but also pain. Board upon the driving gate.
Woo! Ooh! Oh, okay, we're gonna have to look at that level 2 art. Whoa,
Face me.
that's crazy. More wildfire. Let's go! 1 mana, deal 4.
Feel the breeze and know you have my favor.
Ooh, I'm excited to read these cards.
Me ease the pain of others.
I shall lift you up as you have me. With
Imagine if the boat had
sails onward.
crash.
Your faith in me has been rewarded.
Ooh, I'm so excited. Ooh. So this is all the cards, but I want to go ahead. I pulled up the images from the Twitter so we can get into those.
Does it
Ooh.
concern you? Our venture into the unknown?
That's up to Freljord, right? They just went through Piltover and Zon, another up to Freljord. All right, exciting. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. So it looks like we have Janna first. I'm very excited about Janna, guys. All right, so Janna is a 4 mana 2/4 in Piltover that says play updraft 2 to draw 2 at the next round start. Each round, the first 3 times you draw a card, reduce its cost by 1 this round. Level up, I've seen you play 6 reduced cards. And once you've leveled up, you get Janna, level 2, which is a 4 mana 3/5. Oh, and she's elusive. Oh my gosh. And like, look at this art. This is Janna? I can't believe they've done this to Janna. It's crazy. But round start, draw 1. Oh, round start, draw 1. When you draw a card, reduce its cost by 1 this round. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. Janna. Holy moly. I'm like shaking. Oh my. Updraft 2 with the next. I mean, you love to like updrafting is not terrible, right? And then you draw. Wow. Each round, the first 3 times you draw a card. I mean, really crazy card. This is a really crazy card. This is Master Yi on steroids, man. You know what I'm saying? And she's a 4 mana 3/5 elusive. Crazy. Crazy card. Alright, I don't know. Janna just seems super fun, super ridiculous. I really love the artwork. Really. This is a really. I don't know. Let's see. Updraft. I don't know. You just want to draw cards. I mean, this is the drawing cards expansion for real. You know, all these draw card addicts are just gonna be super excited and super hyped this expansion. I mean, a part of me can't get over this artwork of the level 2 Janna. Like, I can't believe that. It's beautiful. It's just incredible. Yeah, I don't know. Janna's gonna be ridiculous. That's all I can say. I don't think that it's solid card. I don't know what more to say. Like, you can just play this with whatever you want because it seems good. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, seems broken a little bit. Maybe broken. I don't know. Really cool card. Really excited about it. I want to check out the rest of the package and then see how we can talk about it all coming together. So let's go ahead and move on to Eye of the Storm, which looks like it is Janna's champion spell. So we have Eye of the Storm, which is a 4-mana burst spell. Give an ally +2/+0 this round, draw 2. Why? What? I mean, wow. 4 mana. 4 mana, draw 2, burst +2 attack. I feel like the burst +2 attack doesn't really matter that much. It is an elemental spell, of course. Is this card good? 4 mana, draw 2. I mean, we play a lot of 4 mana draw 2s in this game. Give an ally +2/+0. I mean, I feel like this card is gonna be fine. I can't. Like, it doesn't seem incredible. Is it incredible? It seems okay. I can't really tell. I'll be honest. Like, obviously we want to draw a lot with Janna to reduce the cost of cards. But if we look at this card just by itself, I'm not really sure how to think about it. Like, a +2 is nice, but it's 4 mana. It's a little expensive. But we do have to draw 2. It's okay. I think this is like one of the weaker. Like, I'll be honest, if this gave HP, it would be broken. But because it gives attack, I don't think it's that broken. I think it's fine. I don't think the attack is gonna matter too often, especially at 4 mana. But it's okay. I think obviously the package where Janna really likes to draw 2, so I guess anytime you can draw is fine. But there's so many draw cards in the game, like even Rummage, right? But okay, so let's go ahead and move on. I want to zoom out just in case you guys can't see that. And we have Windborn Mariner, which is a 2-mana quick attack unit built over on Zon. It's a 2-mana 3/1. If you have drawn 3 cards this round, I cost 2 less. Okay, so it's a 0-mana 3/1 when you are able to draw 3 cards. I guess like the whole draw 3 is like the new gate that they are creating for cards. They have the other 1-drop from Bilgewater that, you know, gains +1/+1 and Brash. So if we think about this, oh, that's why they gave 1 HP to the other 2-mana 3/1 quick attack unit built over in Zon. The drop order, whatever that card is. No one's ever played it, but I don't know if this card's good. Like, is it like, do you even want a 0-mana 3/1 quick attack? Like, there's a reason that card's never been played. But I guess maybe if it's 0 cost, you don't mind it. Star Scamper? I don't know. The Targon 0 cost card. The one that discounts itself when it beholds a Celestial. I think beholding a Celestial might be a little bit easier than drawing 3 cards in our single round, but I guess, you know, you only have to draw 2 cards because you draw 1 at the beginning. It is a quick attack unit. I do like quick attack over a 2/2. I mean, 1 HP kind of sucks. I think this card's alright. I don't think this card's that good, I'll be honest. I think there's better 2-drops in the game. I think there's just getting a free 3/1 quick attack doesn't really seem that crazy to me. It's just gonna get pinged. It's just gonna get removed like so quickly. I don't know. Not a fan. Not a fan of either of these cards, Eye of the Storm or Windborn. Too much. Not a huge fan of that. It's alright. I'm gonna move on and go to the next page, and we have Miriam, Temple Caretaker. which is a 2-mana 2/3 from Piltover, which is, I don't think Piltover has a 2-mana 2/3, so it's gonna be pretty good for the region just in general. Play updraft 1 to refill your spell mana. Well, this card's broken. What do you mean? What are you talking about? This is disgusting. What do you mean? 2-mana 2/3 in Piltover. 2-mana 2/3 is like the best stat line for a 2-drop in the game. Play updraft 1 to refill your spell mana. What are you talking about? This is a -1 mana cost card that you updraft, but doesn't updrafting get like a discount onto that card anyways? What the This card is broken! I don't know. This card's ridiculous. This card is ridiculous as hell. I'll be honest with you. I guess you're playing with one less card, right? So for the cost of 2 cards, you get to play units 1, 2, and then have 6 mana on turn 3, which is really strong. I don't know, like in J stacks, like this seems super sick. Like you get to play your units early game now without having to bank just because of this card. And yeah, you sacrifice a card, but they just printed a 4-mana draw 2, and there's so many. You just play, I don't know. Like this card's ridiculous, right? Like you're drawing so many cards, refilling your spell mana, just like completely refilling it is just like ridiculous. That's crazy. This card's broken. And not in like a fun, exciting way, in just like it just is good. And like should be a 2/1. Maybe. Probably should be a 2/1. I think 2/3 is ridiculous. I don't know. Anyways. Moving on. Alright, now we have Sunken Temple, which is a 5-mana landmark in Piltover and Zon. And it says, round start, updraft your hand. Round start, draw that many cards +1. This is broken. This like, I guess it's 5 mana. This seems terrifying. This seems like really scary. Am I just trolling? Maybe I'm trolling, but updraft your entire hand, draw the entire hand, and then draw an extra card. And I mean, like, that's just any of these triggers that require you to like draw at least 3 cards in a turn. Boom! Sunken Temple, and all your cards are getting discounted. This is crazy. This is ridiculous. I don't know. These 2 cards right here, Miriam and Temple, seem gross. Like, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Gale Song Call, summon a Gale Song Swallow. Oh, I'm sorry. And Gale Song's Call is a 1-mana slow elemental spell in Piltover and Zon. And so it's Gale Song Call, summon a Gale Song Swallow, and Gale Song Swallow is a 1-mana 2/1. Bird. All right. So we have a 1-mana spell that summons a 1-mana 2/1. I think this is pretty good. I think this is not bad. And we've seen a card revealed in another by another streamer, right? With this card, so that gains +1/+1. It's just a 2/1. It's just vanilla. But you know, thinking about the way that Miriam is going to be giving you all the spell mana in the world. You can play this on 1 if you want, and you can block rear guard or do whatever you want. I don't know. This card seems okay. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's hella like super exciting or anything like that. But I do think that it will be okay. Maybe. I don't think it's like, I don't know, one mana spell unit. I mean, spell units are like better than unit. You know what I'm saying? Like summoning a kind of, I don't know. Is this gonna be okay? I don't know. This seems like nothing. You know what I'm saying? This seems like a literal nothing card. I don't know. Maybe there's other Gale Song Swallow synergies that we haven't seen yet. I do like the art. It is cute. But okay, let's move on. And now we have Howling Gale. Howling Gale. 3 mana slow speed spell. And Piltover's on another elemental spell. Says deal 2 damage to a unit. Increase my damage by 1 for each other card you've played this round, up to 3 times. Three mana deal 5. If you've played 3 other cards. Three mana deal 5 seems ridiculous, right? You have to play 3 other cards, but you can play like Gale Song Call. That's gonna cost 0 because it's gonna be updrafted. Oh no! Yikes! Ugh. I don't like Howling Gale. This card seems gross. I didn't know. Like, I feel like this is a crazy good card. I don't know. Like, this seems pretty good. Maybe it's, I mean, you can just burst. You can just play burst spells. Get this up to 4. Even 4 damage is a lot. You know, there's a lot of things to hit at 4 damage. And so, like, you were able to get this up to 4 damage. Then remove something for 3 mana. That's very good. That's pretty solid. I don't know. All of these cards seem pretty okay. I think Gale Song's Call is probably the weakest one. But Miriam, Temple, and Howling Gale. Obviously, Temple and Miriam are a lot better. I think those are the best two. But I think we have some more cards as well. So let's go ahead and move on. Howling Gale seems really good. Alright. And now we have Divine Whirlwind. Oh, okay. These are the cards that were actually revealed in a previous stream. So I guess we can just talk about them again really quickly. When you've drawn 3+ cards this round, I cost 2 less. This is Divine Whirlwind, the 5 mana fast spell from Piltover's on. If you've drawn 3 cards this round, I cost 2 less. Deal 3 to a unit and 2 to the enemy nexus. With Temple, since this is always online, I think the fact that it looks like turning these cards with the draw 3+ cards in a round, that requirement doesn't seem too difficult to accomplish based on what we're seeing now. So I think it's going to be pretty negligible how often you're going to be playing this at 5. And like I said previously, I don't think it's terrible to play at 5 in some situations, but I do think that it's going to be frequently at 3. And I think a 3 mana deal 3 to a unit and 2 to the enemy nexus is very strong. I think it's going to be really good. So I think Divine Whirlwind is going to be a really good card. I think I'm going to play it because of the burn aspects, obviously. Blowback is very good. And this is very similar to Blowback. So it's actually probably better than Blowback because you don't have to discard to buff it up. Yeah, I think this card might be better than Blowback, even though it does 1 less damage. Um, and now and then okay, so we already talked about Divine Whirlwind, so let's go ahead and talk about Gale Song Flock. And Gale Song Flock is the 5 mana slow spell from Piltover and Zon, another elemental that summons a Gale Song Swallow, which we saw was a 2/1, a vanilla 2/1. Granted, +1/+1 for each elemental spell you played this game, or elemental skill, and then draw 1. I mean, this card is super whatever. I'll be honest with you. I don't think this is interesting. I don't know. I don't really like Piltover and Zon summoning units with spells. Like, I know. I don't know. Like maybe this is gonna be like a 5 mana 9/9 at the end of the game. That's kind of scary, but I don't know. It's just not exciting. Like, we just got Scrap Traction, and that is filling that slot of being like a, spell unit that's really big. I have a hard time being excited for it, but maybe it will be okay to play. I just don't find it interesting as a concept, but maybe that's because we've seen other crazier cards coming out even in this patch, but it's all right. It's okay. It's a card. It's a card. And let's go ahead and move on to the next card. Iaskila, Figurehead of the Deep, which is a 6 mana 4/4 unit from Piltover and Zon. It says when you play an elemental spell or elemental skill, copy it with the same target. Let me see that again. Well, I mean, this card's pretty good. I think 6 mana is a little expensive, and 4 HP is a little removable. But I do think that this ability is very powerful. And I do think that... I don't know. Yeah, I think... maybe you play a Gale Song Flock and you get 2 big units for 5... I don't know. It's okay, right? I think that it's a little expensive, but it is a powerful effect. Do I think that it will get a lot of play? Maybe. I'm sure somebody will find something broken. I do like, Divine Whirlwind getting doubled up. That's really exciting. I'll have to go through all of the elemental skills. Wait a second. This works with Annie? Well, I guess this is almost the same as the headmistress from yesterday, right? The one that doubles support and doubles attack activations. So I guess this card, I would also say it's almost a win more, but I think elemental spells are probably a little bit more flexible than attack and support activations. So I'll probably elemental spell, like this card's gonna be a little bit better than the other one. I think in order to really judge this card, I would have to really deep dive through elemental spells and see what's worth doubling and how effective this card could be at winning you games. Because I think starting at round 6, if you're not playing things that are like adding to the inevitability of your game plan, I don't know why you're playing them. But I definitely think that this card has the potential to close out games if left unattended. So it doesn't seem terrible. But I think that 4 HP is pretty vulnerable for a 6 drop, and it's quite expensive for the body that you're getting out of it. That's going to be just sitting on the back of the board, because you never want this to enter combat, and you want your opponent to like have to try to remove it. But 4 HP, not terribly. It is a break point for the game, but I think starting at turn 6, like it's negligible. So. Interesting card. Not sure how good it will be, but I know a lot of people will be playing. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Exalted Cloudwinder. Exalted Cloudwinder is a 5 mana 3/2 quick attack unit from Piltover and Zon that says if you have drawn 3 or more cards this round, I cost 2 less. When I'm summoned, draw 2 at the next round start. Okay, so this card is similar to the other quick attack unit that we saw earlier, which was a 2 mana quick attack with 3 attack. So they have the same power here, but this one has 1 more point of HP. I look at this card like it's a flying dragon thing, and I just wonder to myself, why is it not elusive? But I think if this was a 5 mana 3/2 elusive with the same text, I think it'd be a lot better. But quick attack, not a really good combat keyword. You know, it's okay. I do like the effect that it has though, that it will automatically draw 2 at the next round start. So if you proc it for 1 round, you get a 3 mana 3/2 quick attack unit that draws you 2 next round. And you know, inevitably procs any other cards that you have that trigger off of the +3 card draw requirement. So I don't think that this card is that good just because of the body, but I do think that the effect is decent. You just want to keep drawing cards, you know, keep pumping out spells. I don't know. This whole archetype of Janna seems super interesting. Very weird. Sunken Temple seems broken. Janna seems broken. I don't know, guys. I'm really interested to see how you guys feel about Janna. I'm really interested in the spells and Janna herself, but I don't know. It's a very interesting package. You know, very interesting concept. And I don't know. Like, I want to play this package just for Janna and the art at this point, but overall, for like what the cards do, I'm not really sure how interesting some of these are. But just to do our quick review, today they released Janna, and Janna is the 4 mana 4/2 that turns into 4 mana 3/5. When you player, you updraft 2 to draw 2 the next turn, and each turn, the first 3 times that you draw a card reduces cost by 1. And you know, she levels up on seeing 6 cards that she levels up when you've played 6 cards. 6 cost reduced cards? Huh? Play 6? Oh, sorry. I level up when I see 6 cost and I think about, like, you know, Jace and stuff like that. I've seen you play 6 cost reduced cards. They put the cost reduced on the bottom. Be a little bit easier for me to read, but having the 6 at the end would probably look good. But then she levels up and turns into Janna, which is round start draw 1, which is ridiculous, right? When you draw a card, reduce its cost by 1 this round. I think the payoff of a 4 mana 3/5 elusive that draws you a card every round is insane. Like this card, it's so good. It's so good. Very powerful. Very powerful, very beautiful. Eye of the Storm, a whatever card, I'll be honest. I don't know. The draw 2 is probably good just because you need a proc Janna, and if you have a Janna on the field, like, because, you know, it's the Eye of the Storm, you'll get the discount. So it's probably really good as her champion spell. I don't really know how it is as just a raw spell, but I'm sure we'll see some play, but I think it'll see more play as like just her champion spell. I think it's an alright champion spell, for sure. And then we had Windborn Mariner, which I don't really think is a good card. I think it's pretty, whatever. Maybe I'll be wrong. 0 cost cards might be good, so we'll see how that goes. And then we had Miriam, Temple Caretaker, which is pretty broken in my opinion. 2 mana 2/3 seems pretty strong, just as a body alone. And then the fact that it refills all of your spell mana is very, very, very powerful, for sure. I think it's ridiculous. And then along with Miriam, the temple that she takes care of I assume she failed because it's sunken. So, and then sunken temple at the end, the round end, you updraft your entire hand, and then the round start, you draw that mini card, which is really cool. You know, if you need a way to level up Jinx, right? Just kidding. And then we have Gale Song. Yo, sorry. I think Sunken Temple's pretty strong for sure. I think it's pretty powerful. I think putting it at 5 mana is really good and might be the only thing keeping it from being too strong. But we've seen landmarks like Bar even being played at 7 mana, so who knows these days. And then we have Gale Song's Call, which was the 1 mana slow spell that summons a Gale Song Swallow, and Gale Song Swallow is a 1 mana 2/1 bird. And I don't know. I guess this because you'll have so much mana, you'll be discounting things. So having things at 1 mana will just be discounted to 0 mana very effectively. So maybe this card will be okay, but I do think it is very simple and very vanilla. It's all right, you know. I don't really get the combos with it yet. I don't see the full picture, but I think it's okay. And then we have Howling Gale, which was the 3 mana slow spell, and it dealt 2 to a unit, and it increased in damage by 1 for every card that you played up to 3. So it could be either 3 mana deal 2 or 3 mana deal 5. And I think that's pretty strong, especially with all the discounts that you'll be getting. You'll be playing so many cards every turn. I don't think it's going to be difficult to charge this card up. I think it's going to be devastating to a lot of threats, a lot of units for your opponent. So I think it's going to be really good. All right, and then we have Divine Whirlwind, and Gale Song Flock, which were revealed the other day. So I'm not going to spend too much time. I think that Divine Whirlwind is going to be good. Really excited for that. Gale Song Flock is... I don't really know how I feel about these Gale Song Swallow cards. They seem really boring and vanilla. Not really interested in them, but I guess hopefully there's like some cool payoff or something. I don't know, some other synergy that I'm not seeing or that we don't know yet. It'll be really exciting. And then we have Yaskila, I don't know. Figurehead of the Deep, 6 mana 4/4 that doubles all your spells, your elemental spells and elemental skills. A little expensive, but very powerful. I think it'd be really cool. I'm sure a lot of people will be playing this. They need to make Decimate elemental. Okay? And we can play this. We can play Jace. Then we can mimic Decimate and get 4 Decimates on the stack. Alright, guys? That's... I'm telling you. Anyways. And then we have Exalted Cloudwinder. 5 mana 3/2 quick attack that discounts itself when you've drawn 3 cards or more and draws you 2 cards at the next round start. I mean, drawing 2 cards at the next round start is pretty good. I think this card's actually pretty solid. Like, obviously I said to make it an elusive because of the card art and what it is, but I think quick attack's okay. But I think they can make this a 5 mana 2/2 elusive and it'd be better and feel more appropriate. But I don't know. We'll see. Overall, I think that the Janna card package seems like it'll be very powerful. I think that a lot of people will be having a lot of fun with the new champion. Very, very hyped for Janna. And especially the new level 2 art, which is insanity. But yeah, very cool, very excited, and very hyped for this new expansion. You know, we have a lot of cool cards. We got to see some Wildfire gameplay in the teaser video, which was really hype. But I think that, you know, we're all really excited for the new cards, and for whatever new cards are coming up, which we have what, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday, I think, maybe. So we have 2 or 3 more days of cards, and, you know, really excited to see what we have next. Thank you guys for tuning in and checking out my video. As always, you can follow me on YouTube and other platforms. I am Wickhelm on all of those. Please subscribe, please like the video, please let me know what you think about Janna and what you think about these new cards, or what you think about my jacket. You know, just drop me a comment, let me know how you're feeling, and that'd be super appreciated. As always, you can join the Always Be Gaming community Discord. Link is in the bio. But for now, I will catch you guys later, and we will see those new cards once they're out. Peace! Hello and welcome, I'm Wick, and today I will be reviewing the newest cards revealed for the upcoming Legends of Runeterra expansion, Fate's Voyage Onward. And Fate's Voyage Onward, of course, is going to be coming up with the coming out and come to us on September 13th, 2023, which is right around the corner. So let's go ahead and review today's cards. All right, great. So it looks like we have a variety pack of dual region cards today, which is really interesting. And it also looks like each of these all have the same text. So all of these, they create a explorer spell in hand, apparently. And so these are all dual region, which is really fun. We haven't seen dual region since Jax, and so I do think that dual region cards are very fun and do a lot for the game. But I think before we start talking about these guys, I think we should go ahead and check out what explorer spells are. And it looks like explorer spells are a mix of 2-mana focus and slow speed spells. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and review the spells first, I think, because these are why you're playing the other cards. It's kind of like improvise with the weapons. Like, the weapons are what matters, right? Obviously, Combat Cook is crazy, but that's just one of them. So let's go ahead and take a look at each of these spells. And the first one is Explorer's Blunder. Explorer's Blunder, excuse me. Wick's Blunder. But all of these, like I said, all these are 2 mana, but this one is a quote-unquote Shurima spell, which is focus as well. And it says disable an enemy's positive keywords this round, and again at the next round start. This is a really great way to sort of shut down an enemy from killing you. Obviously, I think it's really interesting that it's again at round start. It kind of allows you to mitigate and play around open attacks at focus speed, right? It's that open attacks and getting into combat as quickly as possible is one of the only ways to counter focus speed spells, right? Because they resolve instantaneously. So being able to disable an enemy's positive keywords at the beginning of a round start is pretty good. I think that this card will see... I think this is really good. I think this is a really strong one. And if this is the level of interaction and the interaction of play that these explorer spells are going to be offering, I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is a really strong one, and it's pretty powerful. So I could see picking this in a lot of situations, for real. And I think that's one of the strengths for these explorer spells, is that they're just going to be, sort of another way for you to react to what's currently happening in the game and allow for a little bit of just interaction. These are going to be like toolbox cards, right? These are your tech card that do a bunch of different things, right? So I think that's what's really interesting about this new concept of adding these explorers, right, to all of the regions with these dual region units. I think that the fact that they're adding these type of cards, like, they remind me sort of Tellstones, right, where Tellstones provide you with quick access to other spells that you may not want to main deck into your 40 card deck. You know, card slots are really important. So I think the decision to bring these sort of cards into the game is something that I really like, because I really like Tellstones already. I really love having that agency, and you know, I think it is a skill testing moment to include these sort of cards, and you know, from that point, choose the right ones when you need them, and always be aware of the different opportunities that those cards provide you with the flexibility and options. I don't know. I would be interested with these cards. I would be interested to know if when you play it, if you get to see all of them, or if you only get to see like a little of them or a few of them. But I think because there's so few, I think that you should be maybe offered all of them. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get some clarification on that through Twitter, with some interactions with the developers. Also, shout out to all the developers on Twitter and social media just for interacting with the community. Always appreciate all of that. Okay, so I just spoke about Explorer's Blunder, and then started talking about the concept of these cards in general. So let's go ahead and move on to Explorer's Malfunction, which is another one of these Explorer spells, and it's a 2-mana slow speed spell that simply says destroy a unit's equipment. And I think that this is crazy. Equipment right now is pretty powerful, with the destruction of said equipment even being such a premium that people are playing cards like Cease and Suppress, or whatever that 1-mana spell is from Demacia. I think that destroying equipment is very powerful. You know, we've seen Jax be a very good deck, especially in Standard and in Eternal. That's a little bit more timelines, but I think that equipment is very powerful right now. Well, maybe not powerful. What is the word? It's just, they're very good. Equipment is very good, and I think that adding more equipment destruction to the game is, I don't hate it. You know, I think it's pretty okay. I think it's fine. Like, you know, you're just like, yeah, like this is gonna come in handy very often. Like, you know, if we look at the Explorer's Blunder and the destroyed equipment, like these are both going to be super good like options. And so let's go ahead and move on to the third one, and that's going to be Explorer's Refreshments, which is a 2-mana focus spell, and it says heal an ally or your Nexus 2. And I mean, I hate to see healing, but I feel like, wow, I hate to see healing in every region. Ooh, wow, every region just got healing, and I don't know how I feel about that. I guess that's why they added Wildfire to the game, because they're like, you know what? We can add a good burn spell, because we're going to add this broken healing spell. So I guess it all balances out somehow, but I think that these cards are all very good. And okay, I'll just quickly speak about the last one, Explorer's Excavation, which is a 2-mana slow spell. So some of these are focused, some of these are slow. There's no burst, but it is a 2-mana slow spell that destroys a landmark, right? So I think if we look at all of these, we have unit denial from Explorer's Blunder, taking away keywords. We have we have unit destruction, or excuse me, equipment destruction. We have heal, and we have landmark destruction. So I mean, these units are being added to the game, and they're just providing every single region with hyper specific tools without having to play hyper specific cards, right? It's more flexibility through these without having to specifically play something like a Crumble, right? If you're playing a Shadow Isles, right? Obviously Quietus is very good, and so destroy equipment, but there's not many options to destroy equipment in a region like just Seraphine, because these are all 2 mana. This is actually really gross for Seraphine, I think. Okay, but that's enough about the spells. I think they're all very good. I think the concept of these explorer spells are really interesting, and bringing these cookie cutter, toolbox abilities to every single region is actually going to allow for people to deck build in a more consistent and interesting way, and um, still be able to deal with things without, like, Sump Monument is now not just only killable by like Piltover and Zon, right, with Aftershock. So it just makes it so that the game isn't so based on like silver bullets from specific cards, especially when you're playing ladder or something. I don't know. These cards are just really flexible, and I think that that is something that I appreciate and want in the game. I know people are going to be like, "Oh, well, but what about region identity? If every region does everything." Well, these are boring things, man. Like, these are boring things, all right? Silence is boring, all right? Killing unit equipment is boring. Healing is extremely hella boring. Landmark destruction is boring. These are all boring things. Who cares if every region can do this? It's fine. It doesn't matter, all right? It just makes it so that you don't have to play terrible bad cards. Maybe the units are terrible and bad, but like, I think that this is a very elegant way to address an issue that we've seen, where we will just somehow at times have cards that are only, and I mean, obviously, like, landmarks are the biggest culprit of this, right? Like, we've seen landmarks just be completely terrifying, and I think that obviously people are cooking up wildfire decks with Swindler's Den and Banquet, so landmark destruction is going to be at an all-time high, I think, especially. Oh my god. And then there's the sunken tomb that just came out yesterday. So I mean, like, we need decks to have access to these abilities without having to play really bad cards that are completely dead in matchups where they're not applicable, right? Like, having cards that are only applicable in one hyper specific situation is terrible in Legends of Runeterra, in both ladder and in both like best of threes. I mean, obviously, like, best of threes and like top cut, you can kind of start talking about needing them, but these give you a general game plan against any problematic thing in the game without having to sacrifice options against not those decks. So I think this is fantastic. This is really cool. I love these. These are great. I'll even be okay with the Nexus healing. It's fine. This is a great concept. So let's quickly go over the cards that they're adding. And I think the thing that's going to be most impactful is the region combinations that these cards are available in. But I guess it also doesn't matter because every single region is getting, right? So, I mean, I think it's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and check these out really fast. So the first one that we have is the Shadow Isles and Targon card. It's a 2/2. It's a 3-mana 2/2 called Spectral Surveyor, and it has Lifesteal, which is terrible. Wow, this card's kind of broken. I mean, I see Lifesteal and I overrate it, but I do think that we have seen Lifesteal be a keyword that if it shows up, it ends certain matchups, right? And I think that the fact that they're coupling this card with the healing Explorer spell, I think that's a little. I mean, this card's healing 4, right? For 5 mana. I guess that's not too good. So maybe, I don't know, but I think this is really a really good card. It's a 3-mana 2/2 with Lifesteal. Targon and Shadow Isles are gonna love this. It's gonna give them access to the spell. Okay, so I've added the spells up top so we can talk about the units and the spells kind of by just jumping back and forth. And I think we were speaking about the Spectral Surveyor, and I think that this card is just going to be pretty powerful. you know, we do see that we have access to healing and landmark destruction and even a pseudo, you know, combat silence. I wonder if we could, what we could call this, you know, removing positive keywords. It's not a silence per se, but it is a muting of some sort. I don't know what to really call that. But yeah, Spectral Surveyor seems to be really strong. I think that this unit will see a lot of play in these regions, and I think that, you know, having access to all of these abilities on the body of a 3 mana 2/2 is pretty good. These cards all seem super good because you have access to these really cracked spells, right? Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the next one, and that's going to be Armed Inquisitioner. That's going to be a Noxus Shurima. Oh, what a beautiful combination. Look at that. Reputation. Make this a 5/1. You know what I'm saying? If this is not going to have a keyword, make this a 5/1. Reputation. Please. On. Armed Acquisitioner. Play, pick a Explorer spell. So like I said, these are all Explorer spells. But Noxus now has healing. Noxus has healing, guys. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know how often that's going to be good, how often it's going to be bad. But it's happened. You know what I'm saying? Pick an I mean, 3/1, no keyword, Shurima Noxus. I think this it's sick. It's sick. Let's go. I don't know. I want to just go through all of these, I guess, because I think these are more interesting to talk about as like a concept. The next one is Portal Pioneer, which is a 2 mana 1/1 in Vandal City and Ionia. It also has a tune, and you know, generates one of these spells. I think that having a tune is really good when you're generating spells. I think Ionia and Vandal City love having these crazy spells. Yeah, I think it's solid. I think it's solid. And then next we have Scholarly Pioneer, which is a 3 mana 2/3 with Challenger in Demacia and Freljord. Wow. 2/3 Challenger. I mean, it's not terribly strong, right? Demacia has a 3 mana 2/4 Challenger that doesn't really see any play. But this guy does stuff. You know what I'm saying? He can even heal himself. Disable enemy keywords. I don't know. These explorers are busted, bro. I don't know. They're all super sick. And then finally, we have the Octo Adventurer, which is a 3 mana 1/4 elusive. What? Come on. A 3 mana 1/4 elusive that generates you a crazy spell that you need. And Octo Adventurer is in Piltover and Bilgewater, of course. So, wow. These explorers are super good. I think the worst one is obviously the Nox one because it doesn't have a keyword. I don't know why it doesn't have a keyword. Like I said, if it doesn't have a keyword, just give it 5 attack. You know what I'm saying? It's already in the reputation region. I don't know. These explorers are sick. They all have, I don't know, man. We're giving regions access to anything that they could ever imagine, anything they could ever want, and I think that that's super hype. So I don't know. I'm a fan of giving these like staple cookie cutter, toolboxy, really boring and simple linear. I don't know. They're just very simple effect. Heal 2. Destroy a landmark. Destroy a unit's equipment. Like, they're not fun and exciting. They're not like crazy. Like, you know, region identity is supposed to be for these big thematic, really enjoyable, fun things, you know? Are you gonna tell me that Noxus and Piltover and Zon, you know, like, I don't know. These are things that should be in every region, right? To some degree. Maybe not healing, but that's fine. You know what? There should have been a burn option in here. Yeah, I said it. There should have been a burn option here. You know, we have a silence, defensive silence, you know, for enemy keywords. We have a equipment destruction. We have landmark destruction. We have healing. Where's the burn? Where's the burn? Explorer spell for burn. All right. Deal two mana, slow. Deal 2 damage to the enemy nexus. Come on. Come on. Easy clap. Easy clap. I don't know. These are all really cool. I really like this as a concept, and I love that these are being added to the game. I do think that the 3 mana 1/4 is probably super broken. Like ridiculously broken. I think these are almost all really, really strong. I think Scholarly Pioneer is very strong. I think Adventurer is very strong. I think Surveyor is very solid. Portal Pioneer is alright. And then Arm Acquisition is fine. I don't know. I guess they didn't really... I don't know. It's fine. Noxus has been one of the best regions for a very long time. So they don't need more powerful options. But these are really great. So... yeah. This weird episode today. You know, with like this little kind of small variety pack. But a very interesting concept. You know what I mean? And I think it's indicative of a game design direction that I personally appreciate and like. And so I found these to be really delightful and interesting. So we should be back tomorrow with more cards to review and check out for the Fate Voyage Onward expansion. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for checking out my channel and checking out my video. Of course, as always, appreciated. Please feel free to give me likes on these videos, give me comments on these videos. Let me know what you think. Tell people to watch my videos. You know, just join in. I appreciate any sort of interaction that you guys want to provide me. It's always fun to comment and reply to people. You know, I'm very active on Twitter, obviously. I think most people know that, but I love communicating with the community. So please feel free to drop me a comment or follow me and contact me on any of the other platforms. I'm Wickhelm on everything pretty much. And as always, you can join the Always Be Gaming community Discord. We, you know, sometimes play poker and hang out. We talk about food all the time and share deck codes and just hang out and host tournaments as well. So please feel free to join the server. The link is also down below in the description. So thank you once again for joining me. I will see you soon. Peace. Hello and welcome. I'm Wick, and today I will be reviewing the latest set of cards revealed for the upcoming Legends of Runeterra expansion, Fate's Voyage Onward. So yesterday we had the variety pack with all of the explorers and the explorer spells, and I believe that today we will be seeing the support package for the upcoming third champion for the expansion. And this expansion will be coming up 13th of September, which is in only a couple days. So I hope everybody is getting excited and getting ready for all of these new cards. I know I can't wait to get my hands on them. So let's go ahead and get into these cards and start seeing what champion we're going to be seeing. I think, you know, we saw in the little video yesterday that we were going up to Freljord, and there's been a couple of there's a little info out there, so I think we know who it is, but let's go ahead and check these out. Oh, okay. And I mean, Ursine, I mean, I think we all know that this is going to be Volibear, right, guys? So let's just get that out there. It looks like we have Volibear support package today, and this is the first 3 cards. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, so the first card is Sigil of the Storm. And Sigil of the Storm is a 1 mana landmark in Freljord that says Sigils of the Storm stack. So I guess that you can play multiple of them and the effect will continue So Titanic allies cost 1 less. Destroy me when you play a Titanic ally. So it looks like we have a new keyword here, Titanic. I guess they're gonna be big, right? Oh, and I think it's important to note that Sigil of the Storm is not collectible. Okay, so it looks like Valhyr's Prophet and Berserker Ursine is how you summon these sigils. So these sigils are going to be discounting your Titanic allies, but then they're going to be consumed as soon as you summon something. But okay, so that's really interesting. I think that the sigil will help you ramp. I'm not really sure what Titanic allies are yet, but I do believe that we have a slide that has some information. So let's go ahead and check out what Titanic is. Titanic. New vocab. Titanic. Units with 8 attack or health. Okay, so Titanic is just going to be any unit that has 8 power or 8 HP. And that's a lot of cards. And okay, so I mean, that's really interesting, right? It's kind of like the way that the trolls behold all of the 8 power units or 8 cost units in order to gain effects, but now we have Titanic, which is just going to apply to any unit in the game with 8 power or 8 HP. I think that's okay. So it's not really a new keyword, or it's just a new way to refer to something, right? Instead of Sigil of the Storm saying allies with 8 or more power or 8 or more health cost 1 less, right? That 8 or more power and health, it just kind of gets to be put into Titanic. I mean, it's just a cute way to add more keywords and vocabulary to the game, so I think it's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and start looking at these units. So these 2 units both summon a Sigil of the Storm, right? So let's go ahead and look at Valhyr's Prophet, which is a 3 mana 2/3 that summons a Sigil of the Storm. So it's kind of like pseudo ramp, right? You're discounting big units that if it has 8 health or 8 HP, it's gonna be expensive, right? So you want to discount those as much as possible. So when you look at these cards that summon the sigils, it's a 3 mana 2/3, and that kind of means that on turn 3 you're gonna be ramping. I don't know, a 2/3 body is pretty weak, especially for a 3 cost unit, but I guess like ramping into your Titanic units is gonna help you accelerate your game plan quite a bit. I mean, I can definitely see this card being played just for that. I mean, it's fine. I don't know, it's really ramp has never really interested in me, I'll be honest. Like, my favorite way to gain mana is to go to the next turn, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it's a 3 mana 2/3, not super exciting. It's just like a vessel for the new landmark. The landmark is obviously pretty good. I think the landmark's pretty good, so I guess Valhyr's Prophet, you'll be playing that quite a bit. And then you have Berserker Ursine, which is a 6 mana 5/3 that says when you play a spell or skill, summon a Sigil of the Storm. And I think this card's crazy as an engine to just start generating a bunch of discounts for your large units. That's pretty good. It is 6 mana, so it will be coming down a little late in the game, I mean, if you're on turn 6, you're probably playing your big, what are they called, Titanic units within the next couple turns, right? So this card should be very threatening for opponents, and kind of force them to remove it as soon as possible, or else they'll be able to kind of stack up those discounts. I like this one better than the Prophet. I think that the Prophet's really boring. But you know, I'll be honest, man. If this was a 2-mana 2/3, Prophet would be probably one of the best cards in the game. You know what I'm saying? But it's 3 mana, so it's a lot worse. But I think Ursine, Berserker Ursine, I think that's really funny. Summoning the fact that you just like play a bunch of spells and skills and then you just get more discounts. I think that's really cool. So I think that's super solid. I like Ursine better as a sigil summoner. So let's go ahead and look at the next group of cards. Okay, and so next we have Rond, the Magma Serpent, and Rond is a 7-mana 8/6, so it is Titanic because of the 8 power. And Rond is in Freljord and says play, summon 3 offerings. And I don't know what offerings is, but apparently offerings was the old name for the sigils of power that we see, or the sigil of storm. So when you see offering, just think sigil of the storm. All right, so Ron is gonna get discounted by the other sigils in play, right? So ideally maybe you can get Ron down by turn 5 or turn 6, I don't know. But the thing is, Ron is gonna help you ramp into your other Titanic units. Discounting 3, I mean, that is 3 other unit spaces on board, right? So ooh, it's gonna be kind of difficult. I think that they say that the sigils of the storm stack, and I don't really know if that means that they take up multiple. It says sigils of the storm stack, right? And so we have kegs that stack, but that only takes up 1 board space. I think sigil of the storm is infinitesimally better, right, if it only takes up 1 board space, especially when it comes to something like Ron, which is drawing or summoning 3 sigils, right? You can't just lose 4 board spaces off of like 1 unit. Like that would just be, that would be completely debilitating. So I'm assuming I'm going to be generous, right, with my assumption of how these cards work, right? Is that the sigil of the storm only takes up 1 slot on your board. I think that it has to be, especially with the way that Berserker Ursine is, right? Berserker Ursine is literally BB but for sigils, right? So I assume that it just goes on to 1 spot. But anyways, Ron, 7-mana 8/6, summons 3 sigils. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? You discount this and then you discount something else, right? So you're just like, it creates a lot of value, I guess. Not really value, but you get a lot of tempo out of this card, I suppose. You know, you get to discount a very powerful unit by 3 mana right off the bat. But I mean, you're playing this card this turn as well. So I mean, it seems very difficult for me, unless you can get these sigils up to like 6 or 7 and you get a 0 mana Rond. I mean, that'd be really great. And maybe you can, right? With the way that the Berserker Ursine is, right? Where you could just like play a bunch of burst spells, like small spells or whatever, right? And then just summon up like a big unit for free, and then just, you know, keep doing that. Oh, that's kind of funny, actually, right? If you're able to get this Berserker Ursine just like kind of rolling with like a ton of spells, you can just get like a 0. Whoa, actually, maybe these cards cost like 0 or 1. And if you think about these cards costing 0 or 1, like that's pretty good, right? Maybe. And you know, sigils work on champions, right? Because it just says allies. Hey, you know what? I think Ursine might be busted. Ursine might be disgusting because it works with burst spells. So that's really cool. Wow. Anyways, I think Ron could be okay. I think in the context of being able to turbo these out in like the magic world that I'm currently living in, I think that it'd be really funny. But okay, so let's move on from Ron and let's move to Herald of Celestial Convergence, which is a 8 mana 5/8. So it's Titanic. It's an 8 mana 5/8 bird from Targon that says play, activate other allies' Daybreak and Nightfall effects. Daybreak, grant me Overwhelm. Nightfall, grant me Spell Shield. So this is just, you know, this feels like, whoa, wow. Activate other allies' Daybreak and Nightfall effects. This is really good. Ah, wow. Especially if like you're really able to get discounts onto your Titanic units, right? And you're able to get this down earlier. Ooh, this is a nasty finisher. I'm thinking about this, right? On the board with like, what is the big crescent unit that was like super, oh, Winding Light, right? This reminds me of Winding Light as like another finisher, but this is like a double finisher. Man, I think this card wins the game for you as well, though, if you have a decent board in of Nightfall and Daybreak units. Wow, this is a really cool card. I love Nightfall, though, obviously. I feel like a lot of people love Nightfall. Yeah, this seems like a really cool card. Obviously, I think a lot of people like Nightfall, and I think a lot of people don't mind Daybreak too much. This is really cool, though, especially if you only need like a couple of other units. Like, let's say you have a Leona on board. Like, it's stunning something, right? And then you're gaining Overwhelm. Overwhelm on this unit is really good. Spell Shield on this unit is really good. This thing has 8 HP. This thing is Titanic. You know, it's really powerful. I think especially with the discounts that are going to be coming out through the sigils, I think that this card will be pretty easy to come down earlier than turn 8. You know what I'm saying? I think that the sigils are a very interesting form of ramp, and I don't mind them that much. I think they're pretty cool. I think this is really cool. But yeah, okay, so that was Herald of Celestial Convergence. I think it's a pretty solid card. And the last card of the day is going to be Seismic Shard, which is Malphite's Q, I believe, from League of Legends. Yeah. Where it slows and steals it also steals movement speed. But okay, so Seismic Shard is a 7 mana slow spell for Targon that's elemental. And it says, if you behold a Titanic unit, I cost 3 less. Deal 7 to a unit. So costing 3 less, a 4 mana, deal 7 if you behold a Titanic unit. I think that's pretty powerful. I think that's pretty good. You know, Targon has Sunburst as one of their major damage-based removal. Well, it's damage and a silence, obviously. But dealing 7 to a unit is no joke. This should be able to kill practically anything. And then for anything bigger that you need to kill, you can just use something like an Obliterate that Targon typically has access for. I think that this card's pretty solid, and I don't think that it's going to be difficult to behold a Titanic unit. This should always cost 4, and having a 4 mana deal 7 is pretty strong. I think this is a very powerful tool for Targon and will really help the region be even more powerful with having access to this if the meta needs it. Like, if you need to kill something with 7 HP, which is gonna be weird because, right, Titanic is 8 health and 8 power, right? So this specifically doesn't kill Titanic units. Like, imagine if this was a Titanic killer, right? If this had 8, like, it should be 8 to a unit, right? Just thematically. And I think a deal 3, it's fine, right? 7 mana deal 8, like, who cares? It's okay. Yeah, so that's the cards today. We have these new Titanic cards. We have the sigil. Looks like Volibear is gonna have 8 attack or 8 health, you know, Volibear has to be Titanic, right? It'd be ridiculous if he wasn't. But let's quickly go over the cards again. So we have Valir's Prophet and Berserker Ursine, which both summon Sigil of the Storms. I think Valir's Prophet is a little expensive, but I guess because you're ramping into your really powerful units, I guess it should be. I think that card is whatever, but I think Berserker Ursine, the 6 mana 5/3 that summons a sigil every time you play a spell or skill, I think that that card is going to be ridiculous. And I think that we're going to see the potential to just get these big giant Titanic units down to costing 1 or 2, maybe even 0. You know, if you have like enough spell generation, I think it'd be really interesting. Obviously, it reminds us of the keg spawning. Mirai? I forgot the... Is it Playful Mirai or BB? I just know it as BB, so I only call her BB. But this card reminds me of BB, and she was pretty powerful when she first came out with a couple of other cards. So we'll see how this one does in regards to generating a ton of Sigil of the Storms for you to discount your big Titanic units. So Sigil of the Storm, I think, is a really cool landmark and a really cool archetype to create, right? It is a ramp, but for specific units. I think that Titanic is a very cool keyword, or not keyword, but a very cool way to title cards that have 8 power and 8 HP, and kind of keep it in theme with Freljord's affinity for 8 cost units. They have this 888 theme going on in the region, so that's pretty cool. And then we had Rond, the Magma Serpent, the 7 mana 8/6 Titanic, you know, summon 3 sigils or offerings, but summon 3 sigils, so it's going to discount the next Titanic unit by 3 instantaneously. And I think that that is fine. Maybe it's pretty vanilla, so maybe it won't do anything. But we also have Herald of Celestial Convergence, the Titanic unit from Targon, the Titanic bird, I should say, that costs 8 mana. It's a 5/8 that says, you know, it activates your allies' Daybreak and Nightfall effects, just period, right? Which is crazy. And Daybreak itself, it gains Overwhelm. It grants itself Overwhelm permanently, and Nightfall grants itself Spell Shield permanently. I think that this card is pretty good, especially with any discounts, with any board. This card is going to be able to have a pretty good effect. Even if you're Nightfalling it for a 5/8 with Spell Shield, if you have discounts on this card, that's a pretty powerful unit to summon out any earlier than turn 8, you know? So I do think that this card is pretty powerful. We'll see how strong the Sigil package turns out to be with Targon, but obviously I guess we'll be seeing like a Targon Freljord ramp style of play again, something like Old Peak, I guess, with these big giant units being cheated out. And then finally we have Seismic Shard, which is the 7 mana elemental spell, slow spell from Targon that deals 7 to a unit and costs 4 when you behold the Titanic. I think this is pretty powerful removal for Targon, and I think that the region's already pretty decent right now, so we should probably see a lot of play if the meta needs to remove big chunky units. And I mean, like, it kills Rond, right? So it kills a lot of things. It's a pretty powerful health point, so very interesting for Targon to receive some more direct damage removal like this. But all right, that is all of the reveals today. Thank you as always for tuning in and joining with me as we check out the new cards. Very excited for Volibear tomorrow, and the expansion on Wednesday, September 13th. and that should be live, I believe, 11 a.m. Pacific time is when it's typically been live in the past. I'll be playing. I don't know what I'll be playing, but I might be playing some degenerate wildfire decks, and maybe I'll record some stuff and upload it later for you guys. But thank you as always for tuning in and joining me and watching. Please feel free to follow my YouTube channel and get notifications for my upcoming videos. Please feel free to drop a like or a comment. You know, I love receiving comments and replying to everybody down there with any questions or any any concerns or ideas that you may have. You can always find me on other platforms as well. I am Wickhelm on just about every platform that exists out there. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky, you name it. Everything except for Facebook, which might be changing soon, but please feel free to give me a follow and keep up with me. I would love to hear from you. You can also always join the Always Be Gaming community Discord. We hang out in there, playing games and chatting about the new cards. And we also host tournaments, so please join. We would love to have you. All right, thank you again. Peace. Hello and welcome. I'm Wick, and today I will be reviewing the final set of cards for the new Legends of Runeterra expansion, Fate's Voyage Onward, which will be coming to us tomorrow, September 13th, 2023. And the next champion, I think, as a lot of us know, is going to be Volibear. So let's go ahead. We're going to check out the champion reveal video, and then we'll get into the cards. All right, let's go.
Who dares challenge the wild?
Ooh. Oh my god, a 9-mana 10/10. Okay. Alright, we got the Titanic landmark, the Sigil of the Storm. Right. Ron makes it. Jana, ooh, beautiful.
Tiny bee.
Your rage will leave you nothing.
Ron, I
to
mean,
protect.
two stack right there into a 3 stack.
Place
pretty
your
good.
faith in me, and your destiny shall unfold.
Jenna, I beg you, reveal my
Divine
path to
Whirlwind,
me.
what a card. Oh, but we got the burst combat trick. 3 HP.
Hold fast to your hope
Ooh,
in me and
3 HP's a
in one
lot.
another.
Alright, there's the profit from yesterday. Look at that stack. That's 5. That's a 4-cost Volibear.
More than destroy Volibear.
Oh, wow.
Drive your storms
Oh, and
harder, Jana.
these skills just clearing the board. What's going on?
What is water but ice that is weak?
There can be no ice without water, Volibear.
Oh my god. All in water, soft. Volibear, what a Giga Jet. Wait, Volibear level up. Oh, there's Needlet. Ooh.
Shall remain.
Woo. He's ginormous. 11-11. Overwhelm. Okay, we got some big expensive spells going on. Oh my god. That was a huge AoE spell. And here we have another big spell.
You cannot overcome me.
Cythria. And the skills again.
From our foes.
Ooh, oh,
Breaks all.
brutal. Oh, and here's all the cards. Here's a shot of the Volibear package. But there's going to be a little spoiler. So let's see what happens.
Do not fear the rapture of conquest. It blinds me not.
Is that Bilgewater? Where is that? Is that Ionia? Where is that going? Some islands onto the side? Interesting. I'm not too familiar with the world, but let's go ahead and get into these cards. All right. So let's start with the bear himself. Volibear. Volibear, 9 mana 10/10. 9 mana 10/10. Freljord champion. Elemental skill, play effect. Play Relentless Storm 3 times. Each one targets a different random enemy or the enemy nexus, if none. Relentless Storm. Oh, okay. So here's Relentless Storm over here. Relentless Storm is an elemental skill that says deal 4 to a unit. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy. burn. Burn, baby. Let's go. That's fucking... There we go. That's sick. Oliver's a burn champion, confirmed. That's sick. So he plays 3 of those and clears your enemy board or deals damage to the enemy nexus on play. And then round end, if you have dealt 50 plus damage, level up. Ooh. That's not... round end, you have to have had 50. So you summon him and then he has to survive until the end of the turn, which is really interesting, right? So he's going to be hanging out as a 10-10 level 1 version for a while. And then I mean look, his Relentless Storm, right? If they have 3 units, that's going to be 12 damage right there. And that's going to be like 1/5 of his level up condition. Deal, yeah, that's pretty sick. Dealt 3 damage. So when he levels up, he gains Overwhelm. He gains Overwhelm, so he's gonna be killing games. And then so he still has the play effect of Relentless Storm 3 times, but he also does that on attack. So on play and attack, he's gonna be putting those Relentless Storms on the stack and really gonna be dealing a lot of damage. That's gonna be a lot of burn, bro. I mean, this is an 11-11 with Overwhelm, you know what I'm saying? Oh, the other allies have Overwhelm? Game Ender. Game Ender. They had a 5-mana Volibear in the trailer. This thing's crazy. Titanic units are gonna be coming down and ending the game like crazy, dude. Wow. Play Relentless Storm 3 times and other allies have Overwhelm. What a champion. We love a champion who attacks. We love an attacking champion. We love Overwhelm. We love Overwhelm. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Sick. Sickening. This is a sick champion. Wow. Relentless Storm is nuts, dude. 4 damage to a unit is actually like so significant. That's a lot. That's a lot. 4 is a huge health cut or health breakpoint in Legends of Runeterra. So, wow, Volibear seems super cool. I don't even think he's that hard to level up, I'll be honest, because like damage is also like fight combat damage, right? Like that counts. So this guy should be leveling up super easy, especially, oh my goodness, that's sick. Yeah, Volibear is gonna be super sick. Very cool. I'm not even a fan of like big units. That's like not even my style, but he seems fun to play. He seems fun to play. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. This is Stormbringer, Volibear's champion spell. It's an 8-mana elemental slow spell that says deal 4 to all units except Titanic allies. Okay, so you're kind of keeping your own Titanic allies healthy, and you know that's important, right? Because if an ally has 8 HP and that's how it's being Titanic, any damage to it is going to take it off of the Titanic level, so it won't be proccing any of your additional effects. So I do think that keeping your own Titanic allies safe from your spell, but dealing 4 to all units is like really significant. Obviously this is like a really big avalanche, right? But dealing 4 is no joke. Like any wide board is completely dead, and this can actually hit like a lot of mid-sized boards, especially after some damage. But it is 8 mana, and I think like for a lot of big boards that you would want to deal with, you can just play something like Buried in Ice instead. So I don't know if we'll be seeing this card being played main deck as Stormbringer, but I do think that it's a very good Volibear spell. Like this could level up Volibear, right? If one is in play, it just deals 4 to an entire board. That's a lot of damage, and that's a lot of level up progress. So yeah, I think Stormbringer's all right. 8 mana is a lot. 8 mana is expensive, but it is elemental, so it can be buffed by Deluge, and you know, kind of does have any synergies with other elemental cards. So dealing 4 damage to everything is pretty good. I think that's crazy. Yeah, I think this is a strong spell. I don't think it's gonna be main deckable, or maybe if it is like a single one, but I think there's other options, especially in Freljord. for big boards that you, like I said, Bird and Ice is just way too premium and too similar to this. All right, so from Stormbringer, let's go ahead and move on to Clash of Giants. Clash of Giants is a 16 mana. 16 mana. That's a lot of mana, man. 16 mana. Summon 2 random Titanic followers. That's a lot of variability. That's 2 random. Okay, so summon 2 random Titanic followers. I cost 1 less. Discounts. I cost 1 less for each elemental spell or elemental skill that you've played this game. Max of 10. So it can only go down to 6 at least. At the least. Summon 2 random Titanic followers is scary, man. Like, there's a lot of options in that pool, right? There's a lot of units with 8 or more attack. There's a lot of units with 8 or more defense or HP. That's kind of funny. I think a 6 mana 2 Titanics is nuts, and I don't think 10 elemental spells or skills is that difficult. Volibear plays 3, you know what I mean? So, interesting. This card reminds me of Field Rush, right? Except Field Rush was a very not linear, but yeah, it was pretty linear, right? You just played to your Field of Rush and then summoned your big champions, right? And I think that I like that this card is more tied to Titanic and to Elemental in a little bit more of a less generic game plan. Like, Field of Rush was way too generic in that it just made all of Freljord just play that stall ramp Field of Rush playstyle, and it kind of like ruined the identity and the region as a whole, right? So I do like that this spell is very powerful, but also still very niche. I think it's cool. I think it's really funny. Summon 2 Titanic followers is gonna be super fun. Like, there's gonna be a lot of videos, a lot of high rolls, a lot of low rolls. I think this is just a very exciting card for people to play. And you know what? If you're in Eternal and you're playing Targon's Peak, man, you can get a 0 mana Clash of Giants, and that's hot. You know what I'm saying? That's super hot. I think that'd be pretty gross at the end of the day. 6 mana is not that expensive. 6 mana is not that expensive. You know, you 6 mana, you just play this with Jace. You just, you let that, you double that up. Get 2 random Titanic followers. There we go. Easy. You know what I'm saying? Simple. Man. Clash of Giants. Elemental spell. Maybe this is good. I don't know. Nah, it has to be good. I think this is gonna be really good in elemental decks. I think this is gonna be really good. Like, you don't even have to be playing Titanic. You can just be playing elemental decks, right? Because like, you just a 6 mana summon 2 random Titanic is like a good. That's actually a maybe this deck. Maybe this constraint of elemental spells or skills is not enough, but I could see this just kind of being slotted into anything that has. If you can play 10 elemental spells quickly, and turbo this down to 6 mana, I think this card is really crazy, actually. Oh, that's a really interesting concept. I think that there's a lot of. I wonder if there's a lot of like cheap elemental spells or a lot of cheap ways to proc elemental skills to turbo discount this. I think that'd be really fun, and I think that'd be really if that's good. I think you might need to increase the cost of this card, which is ironic to say for a 16 cost card. But okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next row. We have Berserker Ursine again. We reviewed this card yesterday. It's the 6 mana 5/3 for Freljord that when you play a spell or skill, summon a Sigil of the Storm. I bet if this card's broken, they'll just say when you play an elemental spell or elemental skill, because I think that having this proc on any spell is kind of scary. There's a lot of ways for you to just spam a lot of spells, get like a really big Sigil of the Storm, and then just like bring out like we saw in the video, and obviously like the dev videos are like super cheesy and like they like, you know, they kind of make a perfect world for the demonstration. But I do think that seeing that Volibear come down with a 5 sigil stack, I don't know, maybe it's not that hard and you're just going to be getting like really cheap Titanic units. I think that'd be really fun and really cool. But I could see if this card gets out of hand, I could see them changing it over to an elemental requirement, as the rest of the theme and the packages. But we'll see. Hopefully it's not too powerful, but maybe it is, and maybe it's fun and cool that it's powerful, because, you know, Freljord hasn't had too many meta defining decks, but it has been around for a little bit. It's doing all right, in my opinion. I think a lot of people think it's doing terrible, but I think it's all right. But okay, let's move on to the next card, and that's going to be Flamecaller Caprine, a 4-mana 3/2 tough unit for Freljord that says when you play an elemental spell or skill, forge me. Ooh, forge me. Ooh, any elemental. Wow. This thing's going to get really big. I think this thing's going to get really big really fast. I think this card is pretty low key. I think it's going to get huge. And you know what? Volibear is going to give it Overwhelm. Damn, this card's going to be scary. I think this card is going to be scary. You drop one Volibear with this card, that's +3 forges. You know what I'm saying? This is a 6/5 with tough and Overwhelm. That's crazy. I think this card is really going to be powerful. And then you just drop an equipment on this, right? And then suddenly you're just buffing that equipment up and making a huge... Oh, wow. Wow, this card is going to be really good with Ornn decks. I think this card's going to be really good with Ornn decks. That's crazy. Yeah, I could totally see this card being powerful in Ornn decks and helping you get really, really big weapons, you know? I think you drop the Overwhelm weapon on this, you play a bunch of elemental spells and elemental skills, and next thing you know, like, you have like a really, really tall Overwhelm unit with tough. And then that Overwhelm weapon can just kind of be slotted in anywhere. Wow, this card seems really powerful. I think this card's going to be very good, especially if there's elemental spells that you're just playing incidentally that are good for any game plan. Like, I think that this is going to be... We'll see this played. I'd put money on this card being pretty good. Maybe not, but like, cause like, look, like, if this card gets out of control at all, right, it's gonna have... You're gonna have to spend like very expensive removal on this. And if your opponent is spending expensive removal on your Caprine, they're not spending removal on your Volibear. You know, they're not spending removal for your Ursine. And I think that this being a potential threat in elemental decks and equipment decks, I think it's low key for that. I think this card is going to be really powerful. 4-mana 3/2 with tough. That's kind of scary. That's pretty scary. But yeah, I think this card's gonna be good. I think this card's gonna be good in a lot of Freljord decks. And I mean, you know, Freljord really needs 4-mana units, I think. So, good card. It looks like we have Rond the Magma Serpent once again from yesterday. The 7-mana 8/6 that summons 3 Sigils of the Storms. I mean, we're talking about sigils being really easy to generate, so maybe Rond is pretty cheap, and by being so cheap helps you develop 2 units on like a same big turn, and then, you know, these offerings are just gonna, or excuse me, these sigils will just continue to build on themselves. And you know what? Volibear is gonna be giving it Overwhelm. This is a 7-mana 8/6 with Overwhelm. That's pretty good. I mean, this thing should have Overwhelm. Look at this guy. Like, if this doesn't have Overwhelm, like, what does? You know what I'm saying? Like, what else does this scream except for Overwhelm? That's crazy. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Ron, we talked about it a lot yesterday. It's all right. And now we have confirmation that sigils stack, as we saw in the demonstration. So pretty good. Summoning 3 sigils is pretty good and helps you continue your developing big units at a little bit of an accelerated pace, which I think is what this game plan is all about. All right, and so now let's go ahead and move on to Sky Splitter, the 2-mana burst spell from a Freljord, which is give an ally +1/+3 this round. So +1 attack, +3 health. And it is also elemental. 3 HP is a lot. I mean, the fact that it's elemental is also pretty good, right? It's going to be discounting your Clash of Giants, and it's going to be buffing up your Caprine. And, you know, you can get another one with that Nyla support card. You can just get another free one of these. I think this is a really solid combat trick. You know, I look at this and honestly, Monofiora support, right? Yeah. I mean, it's more expensive than Elixir of Iron, of course, and the one attack maybe isn't worth an extra mana, and maybe the elemental tag isn't worth 1 extra mana. I guess maybe the only reason you're playing it is because it's elemental. +3 HP is pretty okay. I don't think that this is bad. Yeah, this has to be okay. I think this is going to be fine, especially because it's an elemental spell. You know, it's 3 HP. It's a pretty good combat trick. I think this will be played in a lot of Freljord decks in Standard. I think, you know, since we don't have Troll Chant in Standard anymore, maybe Sky Splitter is what we're playing instead. You know what I mean? But I think it's, you know, it's not too exciting of a card, but it is a card for sure. It's definitely one that I think you'll be seeing at either 2 or 3 slots in a deck, especially ones that like to be playing elemental spells. Yeah, I think it's solid. Nothing too remarkable, but also just good. Okay, and then finally, get out of the way here a little bit. Finally, we have Invocation of Thunder, a 3-mana slow spell from Freljord. Draw 1, summon a Sigil of the Storm. So it just summons a ramp, you know, Titanic landmark for you and draws 1. It's also an elemental spell, so you can get another copy of this from that unit, and it'll also be buffing up your other big elemental win cons like Clash of Giants and, you know, Caprine, as all elemental spells will be doing. I think this card's fine. I think it reminds me of the slow spell that Freljord currently has with that summons the 2/2 overwhelm unit, but you know, this one, it's cheaper obviously, and that's because it only discounts your Titanic unit, so it's like ramp but more limited and more specific, which I think is good, and you know, allows them to make these effects a little bit more cheaper. So I think Invocation of Thunder is fine, nothing too crazy. Yeah, I mean, solid card. You'll probably play it in elemental decks, you'll play it in sigil decks, you know, anything with Titanic. You just kind of want to stack those up, and the fact that this draws 1 is just a nice plus, of course. 3 mana is pretty cheap as well. I think that's very affordable, and I think the fact that, yeah, I mean, that's not bad, right? So if you think about it, this is like a 2 mana spell because it summons a sigil, which discounts a future card, right? So you can think about it as like a 2 mana slow speed, draw 1, +1 elemental for your Clash of Titans, +1 elemental for your Caprine. I mean, I think that's pretty good. Actually, you know what? 3 mana is pretty good. I think this card's like super solid, I'll be honest. Yeah, this card's probably a little bit more solid than I was first thinking, but interesting. Well, that's all the cards for today. Let's do a quick run through of the cards now that we reviewed today. Bear's package, pretty cool. The Titanic champions and Titanic allies. getting a lot more support and, you know, kind of fleshing out that package. I'm sure there are so many Titanic units that I'm not even considering that have existed throughout the game with 8 HP or 8 power. So really exciting to see what, you know, this pack, because I think this package kind of just slots in with whatever you want. Like I could see this being played with Ornn, right? You don't even need to play Volibear if you want to play Ornn, but you can still run, you know, Berserker Ursine and get those discounts for your Ornn and other big cards. I think that's totally cool. So let's quickly run through the cards from today. So first we had Volibear, and Volibear was the 9 mana 10/10 from Freljord. On play, he's going to activate 3 Relentless Storms that deal 4 to a unit and deal 2 to the enemy Nexus instead. So he's going to play 3 of those. And then he levels up once you've dealt 50 damage and the round ends. I think that's not going to be a terribly difficult level up animation. I think he's going to be flipping pretty well. And especially with these discounts, I think Volibear is going to be threatening a lot as soon as he comes down. Like, that's like Relentless Storm is 12 damage to the board, you know, 6 damage to face. You love to see it. You love to see it. And then you have Volibear level 2, which gains Overwhelm and gives everybody Overwhelm. That's nuts. That's super nuts. I don't know. That's super powerful, right? I think that Volibear is what you want from a late game champion that's so big, is just to kill your opponent. Like, he does something on play, he does something on attack, he buffs other allies. Like, look at this thing. It's a 9 mana 11/11. You know, I don't think you're ever surviving if this gets any if this gets to live more than one action. You're dead. Like, it's insane. So I think Volibear is going to be a very good champion, very powerful. I think that he's going to open up a lot for Freljord and he's going to contribute very heavily to this new Titanic play pattern and, you know, archetype that we're developing. I think that this is going to be super cool. You know, seeing a discounted Volibear coming down at 5 for 5 mana, that's going to be super crazy. And then, you know, you play this with Janna, right? And then you discount it even further. Man, see? Janna Volibear deck. There we go. Janna levels up off of the sigils. All right. And so we talked about Relentless Storm, the skill that Volibear plays. It's burn. It levels up Jhin. It levels up Annie. That's burn, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Then we had Volibear Stormbringer, the champion spell for Volibear. Deal 4 to all units except for Titanic allies. It's like a big ol' avalanche. I pointed out earlier that it's kind of competing in a slot or in a similar style for Buried in Ice, but it is nice that this doesn't damage your own Titanic allies. You know, helping them stay healthy and, you know, staying Titanic if they only have 8 HP. So yeah, great. I mean, it's a pretty good champion spell. I don't know if it's a good spell overall, but I think it's a good champion spell. It's fine. All right, and then we also had Clash of Giants, the 16 mana slow spell that says summon 2 random Titanic followers, and it costs 1 less for each elemental spell and each elemental skill that you've played this game. So I think that this card will be getting discounted little by little throughout the game while you're doing a bunch of other things, and then next thing you know, you're gonna play a 6 mana Clash of Giants and summon 2 giant finishers. I think this is a great finisher for Freljord. I think it's super fun. Obviously, it's really cool how they have given elementals and Titanics a sort of big finisher. Reminded me of FTR, but not as, you know, linear. You kind of have to work for it a little bit more with this one, right? But I think this is rad. I think this is really cool. I think it's gonna be fun with Targon's Peak and Eternal as well. Tech W, but cool spell, cool finisher, very cool concept. I think it's gonna be very exciting. Can't wait to see the highlights from this card. Then we quickly retouched on Berserker Ursine, which is probably going to be a very broken engine for the, you know, Titanic archetype. Just being able to spam out a lot of Sigil of the Storms. and really start packing and piling on your discounts. I think that that card is going to be pretty powerful, and we're going to see it in a lot of decks. I think we could even see it in something like, you know, Ornn, Jack's Ornn. You know, you just play this and then discount your Ornn. I don't think that it's, I mean, maybe not Jack's Ornn because there's not too many spells, but the fact that it works with any spell or any skill is pretty scary. I think that this card is going to be doing a lot of work in the first couple weeks for Failure. A lot of work. This card's going to be busted. Speaking of busted cards, we also had Flamecaller Caprine, the 4-mana 3/2 tough that forges itself every time you play an elemental spell or elemental skill. I think that this card's going to go crazy for Freljord. The fact that it just forges itself, so that means it's flexible. It's not just gain +1/+1, right? This can buff up a weapon, and if you're buffing up a weapon, that is long-term value, baby. Obviously the game just got a lot more weapon destruction, but I think if your opponent is spending removal and spending time taking care of your Caprine, that just means that they won't have time to do anything about your Rond or anything about your Volibear. You know what I'm saying? I think Caprine is sick. I think Caprine is super sick for sure. All right, and then we had Rond again, the 7-mana 8/6 summon 3 sigils. Pretty good card. A little, you know, just a pretty vanilla, you know, Titan unit, discounts itself, and then helps you discount other ones. It nicely gets overwhelmed from Volibear, which is really fun. So pretty sick card. Pretty normal, pretty base. Maybe you could see it just getting cut from Titanic decks because, you know, you just don't really need 8/6, but who knows? Maybe this card will get discounted so well, and then the fact that it brings up 3 more discounts will also be good. So maybe it'll be fine. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just fine. We had Sky Splitter, the 2-mana burst spell, 1/3, give an ally +1/+3 this round. Elemental spell, really good combat trick, really solid combat trick. I think it's really something that the region needs. You know, every region just needs combat tricks at 2 mana. I think this is a decent one. It's an elemental that will proc your big finisher like Clash of Clans and, you know, activate your Caprine. I think that's a pretty good card, so it's fine. And then speaking of pretty good cards, just fine, we have Invocation of Thunder as our final card of the day, the 3-mana slow spell that draws you a card and also summons a sigil. So just a way for you to sort of ramp your big units with, you know, 3 mana is really affordable. I think 3 mana is super affordable. So I can really see this card seeing a lot of play now that I think about it. So, but that's it for the cards and for today. The Volibear package looking sick, looking pretty cool, But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in today. I very much appreciate you and your support. If you would please leave me a like and a comment, that'd be much appreciated. Would love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts on Volibear. You can follow me on any platform. I am Wickhelm on pretty much anything. You can browse the links to my other social media platforms below in the description. I also invite you to join the Always Be Gaming Discord server. We would love to have you hang out, share the pictures of your food, and tell us what you feel about the new cards. We'd love to hear from you and would love to have you be a part of the community. So, once again, thank you all for tuning in. The next expansion comes out tomorrow. So I hope everyone is excited for that. And until next time, stay saucy. I don't know. Thanks. Peace.